you know we gon' talk about it. Let's talk about it. Get in here, we in here tonight. So get in here, we in here to vibe.
Hey, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me. Every now and again, it does this. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's like an update or what. Hold on. All right. Hey, everybody. Let me know if you can hear my voice. Let me change it. Let me do some red, baby. Let's do some red, child. Fire red. Let's go red. There we go. Is that red enough? Yeah, there we go right there. We got some red going on. What is going on, beautiful people? Beautiful people. What is going on? I got a show for you guys tonight. It's going to be kind of a follow-up or an extension of what we talked about before, but I have a little bit more details for you, and we're going to break it down. She said, peace and more and loud talkers listening while working. Hey, super fans, welcome, welcome. I see you guys in here. Y'all hit that thumbs up button and share this live, okay? Now, we may not have a whole lot of people in here today because this topic is definitely not a topic that most people that is following this story wants to hear, okay? So y'all hit that thumbs up button and we're gonna dive right in. All right. We're gonna dive right in. Now, I did pin my coffee link up top. So if you want to feel free to purchase your girl a cup of coffee to keep me awake and alarm and alert, please do so. All you got to do is click that button up top and purchase your girl a coffee. It will pop up on the screen for everybody to see. So if you're trying to do it on a sneak tip, then don't do it because everybody's going to see that you purchased me a cup of coffee and I will give you a shout out accordingly. Now, I don't know if y'all could tell. First of all, child, I got my nails done and I'm feeling good. You hear me? Y'all know when we get our nails done, we just be feeling some type of pretty, don't we? Our head can be jacked up. Everything can be jacked up. We could be a few extra pounds, but honey, we got our nails done and we just feel good. All right. So that's what I'm feeling right now. My nails and my toes done. She said, I'm drinking coffee and Bailey's right now. Ooh, girl, my type of drink, baby. I love me some coffee and Bailey's. Now, if you're going to purchase me some Bailey's, you're going to have to give me a few extra dollars because Bailey's costs money. All right. It costs money. But y'all, I am here. I feel good about this case more than I have been feeling, to be honest with you. I kind of felt that it was self-defense in my heart, but now I just feel so good to come out here and confidently tell y'all, honey, unless they add other charges, Holly will be, well, let me just say it like this. Unless they add other charges, Holly will be acquitted, okay? Because there's no way that they are going to find her guilty for first degree. Okay. Now, with that being said, I did some research and I want to give y'all some, can I say the word? Some statistics, okay, on first degree convictions, not charges. Honey, they can charge you all day long, but that does not equal a conviction. All right. Allegations do not equal conviction. So I want to give you a percentage of the convictions for first degree in the state of Illinois. The convictions. All right. Hold on one second. Let me get that number for you. I think I got two things open at once. Why do I have two things open at once? I don't know. Give me a second. Let me just close this down right here. All right. So, convictions in the state of Illinois. All right, y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? She says, I can't pronounce that word either more. Child, y'all know I be struggling with these words. She said, check your coffee. I did, Benita. Thank you so much. She sent me some nail money. She said, girl, go get your nails done, baby. Thank you, Benita. I appreciate you, love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. Let me put this picture up right now. You know what? I'm not going to put a picture up today. All right, so let's go over what the data shows for a general pattern in the state of Illinois. This is statewide, and this is only dealing with first degree murder charges. Okay. Again, first degree murder charges. All right. So we're going to go down the list and I'm going to give you a percentage of the outcome. Okay. The outcome. Here we go. This is for the whole state of Illinois. This is not just Chicago. Okay. The whole state of Illinois. Now, the percentage, let's start with the percentage of first degree murder being, we're going to go over the cases, whether they resolved in charges being reduced, plea agreements, convictions of lesser offense, and then straight out acquittals or dismissals. Okay, so we're going to start with charges being reduced. Okay, so the outcome of first degree being reduced to lesser charges, whether that's second degree manslaughter or etc. Are y'all ready for this? It is greater than 60%. Okay, let me say that again. The percentage of cases of first degree murder charges in the state of Illinois, the outcome of the charges, first degree being reduced to second degree or manslaughter, is greater than 60%. So they don't know if it's 62, they don't know if it's 65, they don't know if it's 68, but it said it's greater than 60%. Okay. Now that's reduced, meaning that the state wants to reduce the charges, or the defense, should I say, ask the judge to reduce the charges or give them another option. Now, plea to lesser offense. This is a plea deal, right? 30 to 50% plea out. Okay, aggravated battery, reckless homicide. Okay, so 30 to 50% accepts a plea. Now, conviction on original first degree murder charge. The percentage of that is 10 to 30% out of the whole state of Illinois. Between 10 to 30% of those that are charged with first degree get a conviction for first degree. Now, dismissed before trial, it says less than 5%. So less than 5% are dismissed before trial. 10 to 30% gets convicted on the original first degree charge. 30 to 50% takes a plea deal down to aggravated battery or reckless homicide. And greater than 60% is reduced to lesser charges like second degree or manslaughter. All right. So right there, 10 to 30% convicted of the original charge, in my opinion, is very low. Is very, very low. Okay. All right. So let's go a little further, right? It basically says that, well, it explains why are these reductions happening? Well, because first degree is the highest, okay, murder charge that you can convict in the state of Illinois. And it is just very high risk to do that. It is very high risk. So because they know it's high risk, they try to, and they know it's high risk, and they know that they may not win, or prove, should I say, not win, but prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt based on intent, knowledge, and no justification or whatever. They know it's hard. So they go in thinking, we can get them to plea out. We can offer a lesser charge, and hopefully that they will accept it, or, or they'll win their case on first degree. Okay. I don't think any state attorney go in knowing that the defendant will be acquitted. Okay. Or maybe they do. I don't know. But I don't think the state would spend that much money on a case that they know that they cannot win. All right. It's going to be extremely difficult. All right. So anyway, and then that's just the straight up first degree murder charges, right? But the bar raises when it's self-defense cases, because what the percentages that I just gave you, that's all murder charges, right? First degree murder charges across the board. But now with self-defense thrown in there, then the percentage is greater, meaning that it's more difficult for them to get a win because self-defense has been raised. So self-defense cases are not hard to beat. Okay. They may not be easy to win, but they're not hard. Excuse me, I'm saying it wrong. they may not be easy to win, but they also are not easy to so what I'm trying to say is it may not be easy for the defense to win self-defense, right? But it's also double hard for a state to beat in self-defense, to beat a self-defense case. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. A prosecutor, because there's a lot that go into it. A lot. So anyway, let's talk about let's continue. It's something else that I wanted to tell y'all. Let's talk about what solid evidence you need to convict on first degree. Let's go there and then we're going to get into the other one. But let's go, what are the solid evidence that you need? Okay? Solid evidence that you need. Now, let's go ahead and say this. Each murder case that murder conviction that the state wins, they kind of look similar. They have the same evidence profile, okay? The case is very clear, cut, dry, boom, this is murder. This was absolute first degree murder, all right? So when prosecutors win on first degree, they usually have multiple forms of strong evidence that all points in the same direction, not just one, but multiple forms of evidence, okay? Let's talk about what solid evidence look like in a first degree conviction, all right? Well, solid evidence is direct evidence of intent. And this is the biggest thing, intent, okay? Now, intent, the strong first degree conviction prosecutors must have they often have a confession, a recorded statement like, yeah, I meant to kill her. Yeah, I meant to kill him. Text messages, DMs, anything like that saying, when I catch you, I'm a KIU. When I catch you, you are a goner, okay? Threats made immediately before or during the act, okay? If they can prove that a person made a threat, I'm about to end your life. I'm about to KIU. It's about to be on and popping. I'm sick of you or whatever. So if threats are made, or even if Hollywood have texted Romika and said, pull up, bitch. I'm about to end your life. Pull up right now. It's about to be over. Pull up, right? Then that will also be considered strong evidence of first degree conviction, okay? Statements made after the fact that shows purpose or they're bragging, justification, or even threats. Like, I told that bitch not to pull up. I told her not to come over here. I'm sick of her ass. I told her that's good, she gone. Now I ain't got to worry about her no more, right? If Holly would have been caught saying any of that, trust me, that would have pretty much concealed the self-defense claim. First degree conviction. Thank you so much, Rita, for the loud noise that she made up in here. She bought me a cup of coffee, y'all. She said, have a nice cup of coffee. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate you. So if Holly would have said something like, yeah, I'm sick of her. I'm done with her. I'm sick of playing with this woman. She gone. Now I ain't got to worry about her no more. All right. Then that would have been first degree. That would have proven somewhat of a first degree. That would have been solid evidence that helped a first degree conviction. All right. Now, clear video or audio of the act. That would have been very helpful for the state. If the state had clear video that showed everything that the witness are trying to claim that happened, advancement, threaten, taunting, agitating, antagonizing, anything, right? If they would have had clear surveillance evidence, whether it's a camera from the bus, camera from the shop, a doorbell, dash cam footage, anything, right? Even a cell phone. If somebody would have took their phone out and started recording it way before the shots was fired or whatever, if they had any of that, body camera, any of that, then that also would have helped for a a first degree conviction. All right. Now, but on these videos, it would have to show the shooter advancing toward the victim retreating, meaning backing up, turning away, or even running, right? it would have to show a pause between the firing, like they thought about it. They shot. Oh, no, you ain't there yet. Boom, shoot again. Oh, damn, you still moving? Boom, shoot again, right? It will have to show the shots fired after the victim was already on the ground to just make sure, boom, let me just make sure you really, really done, right? And then it will also have to show calm, control behavior. If the video can show that, right? Calm, control behavior, then that also will help toward a first degree conviction. Okay. Now, without the video and without being able to see these things, then it presents reasonable doubt. But we're going to get to that in a minute because we're going to talk about reasonable doubt in thorough detail. All right. Now, again, another thing that would have helped a first degree conviction would have been multiple consistent eyewitness statements. Okay. Multiple, right? So strong cases of first degree usually have more than one eyewitness, and they have a great vantage point, and then they're consistent with their timeline, no material contradictions, and no need to explain away discrepancies. All right. However, with only one single witness that says, I saw everything, and having inconsistent witness accounts, right? It rarely results in a first degree conviction. One witness statement to say, I saw everything. The timeline is jacked up. She's saying that she saw this, but she was really in this place, this, that, and the other. That causes also reasonable doubt, which is you cannot convict with reasonable doubt. It has to be beyond reasonable doubt. So the fact that one single witness statement and is inconsistent, that already causes reasonable doubt, especially with no video footage to back up what she's saying, okay? Another thing is forensic evidence that shows deliberation. It has to show deliberation. Let's talk about it. In a solid first degree conviction, forensics often have to prove the shots was fired from a distance. The shots was fired after incapacitation, meaning that the shots was fired when she was already down, no longer threatened, and she was already on the ground. The trajectory showing execution style positioning. Okay, like if you pop somebody in the head or behind the head or something like that, execution style positioning. Also, if they reloaded their weapon and continued to fire, that's another way that you can get a first degree conviction. Now, movement between shots. Let's just say Holly was shooting and she was advancing toward. If they can prove that, then it also will help with a first degree conviction. And also time gaps between the gunfire. That is why the state is trying to present these pauses, 10-second pauses between each shot, is because they're trying to say that it was more deliberate. You know what I'm saying? But that has to be proven. It has to be proven. All right. So forensics that show pause plus continuations are devastating for the defense. So if they can go and get a forensic analysis that shows what they're trying to claim, and that is there was a pause, and I don't even know how much of a pause it has to show, but if they can show there was a pause instead of, boom, 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 it was boom, 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 right? If it shows that, then yeah, it will probably result to a first degree conviction, but it has to be proven, not just alleged. Allegations does not equal evidence, okay? It does not equal evidence. They have to have solid evidence, all right? Thank you so much, Nisi. She bought me several cups of coffee, y'all. Thank you so much for making some loud noise. She said you putting in that work and you deserve a cup of coffee for that hot tea, baby. Make them haters hate harder. You do real research. Thank you, girl. I appreciate you. And yes, I do research, and I have been doing a lot of research because I just want to know. I really want to know. So thank you so very much. So let's continue. Evidence that the threat had ended. If they can show evidence that the threat had ended, the threat had totally ended, then first degree conviction, the prosecutors often show the victim was fleeing. So if Romika was shot in the back of the head, the back of the leg, the back of the arm, anywhere in the back, then that would have indicated that she was fleeing. The victim was unarmed and retreating, had no weapon. Her hands was up in the air, and she was basically saying, all right, you got me, or whatever, right? So if the evidence shows that, also if the defendant pursued anyway. So there's evidence videos that Holly was basically running after Romika with the gun and shooting Romika, then yes, those are the type of evidence that seals a first degree conviction. All right. Now, no credible self-defense narrative. So strong first degree cases usually lack prior threats against the defendant, protective orders, escalation by the victim, sudden confrontation, and fear-based explanation. All right. The case looks one-sided, not contextual. So on a first degree conviction, majority of them is kind of, from the outside looking in, you definitely can tell that this is a first degree murder. It looks like it smells like it reads like it tastes like it. It's a first degree murder. All right. Now let's talk about things that you don't see in a strong first degree conviction. You usually do not see no video of the shooting, which means that if there is no video of the shooting itself, you won't rarely see that in a strong first degree conviction. Now, let's make some corrections here. Not saying that you have to have the crime on video in order to get a first degree conviction, but you rarely don't see someone being convicted of first degree if it's not caught on video. Okay. Now, so again, you usually do not see no video of the shooting, major witness contradictions, evidence of fear for a child, documented prior threats against the defendant, protective orders already in place, ambiguous timelines, fast, chaotic encounters. All right. When those things exist, prosecutors usually reduce the charges, offer a plea, or lose at trial. Okay. When you have the things that I just named off, no video, witnesses contradiction, evidence of fear for self and a child, documented prior threats against the defendant and a child, protective order in place, ambiguous timelines, and fast, chaotic encounters. When those things exist, the state usually reduce the charges, offer a plea deal, or lose at trial. All right. So now this is what we're going to talk about. Hey, everybody that's coming in the chat. This is what we're going to get into first. So with this live stream, what I'll be breaking down, what we'll be covering is what first degree murder requires under the Illinois law, why intent in the state, why intent is the state's biggest problem. Okay. Because one thing the state of Illinois say, you don't have to prove premeditation, but you definitely have to prove intent. That's a difference. Again, you don't have to prove premeditation, but you do have to have intent. Okay. And intent is going to be the state's biggest problem. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to cover how self-defense context, including a child being present, matters legally. How baby Carson, even though he wasn't running around, right? He was sitting in the back seat of the car, and the mother was standing right by the car. right? We're going to talk about why that matters bigly, okay? We're also going to talk about the impact of prior threats and Holly being able to get a no stalking order, even though it was by default. She still had one. And we're going to talk about why multiple shots alone do not equal first degree, and how the juries are instructed to evaluate fear, reasonableness, and intent, and why this case fits reasonable doubt and not certainty, which means already before they even went to trial, there's so much reasonable doubt in this case. So much reasonable doubt. And we're going to talk about that. All right. So let's get into it. All right. Let's get into it because I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Are you guys excited with me? I'm excited. I'm excited. So let's start off by talking about what first degree murder requires in Illinois. And we're going to talk about why is it so difficult for the state to prove. All right. So again, first degree is not just someone died and the defendant caused it. Okay. It's a mental state crime plus the actions of justification. Right. So it means when I say mental state crime, I'm talking about intent and knowledge of killing the person. I intended to, and I know that me pulling this weapon and pointing it and shooting it was going to kill her. So I intended to do it. I knew it was going to happen, and I intended to do it. Okay. So it's about a state of mind. It's not just a person is deceased, right? And we know who did it. That doesn't necessarily equate to murder in the state of Illinois. All right. Or first degree murder in the state of Illinois. All right. So just because someone died and we know who did it does not say first degree. Now let's talk about the state's real problem in proving first degree in the state of Illinois. They must prove intent and disprove self-defense at the same time. Okay? They must prove intent. What was your intentions? And we're going to get to intent in a minute. But they must prove intent and disprove self-defense at the same time. That means they can't just focus on the shooting. They must explain why the shooting was a choice to kill, not a reaction. Why was it a choice and not a reaction? And why every piece of fear-based content should be ignored. What does that mean? Why should every last one of those threats that Romika did to her prior, why should they be ignored? Is this Holly grandmother? I'm going to kill your granddaughter. Why should that be ignored? I'm going to bash your head in when I see you. Why should that be ignored? Or even, I hope you and your child dies. Why should that be ignored? Why should all the threats that Holly received, why should it be ignored? Okay? Also, in the state of Illinois, the juries are instructed that if the evidence can support any reasonable interpretation consistent with innocence, then they must acquit. Okay? So the state doesn't just need to tell a story. They need a story that excludes all reasonable alternatives. And that for that alone, it is very difficult. The bar is so high. That alone. So now let's go into intent. Okay? Again, I said intent will be the state's biggest problem. Why? Why is that? Well, intent is almost always proven through statements, planning, behavior before and after, calm or deliberate actions. All right. In this case, the state is missing classic intent indicators. They have to have proof that Holly was planning let's just go here. There was no planning evidence. There's no text messages or anything that says, let's try to see if we can get her on State Street at 8:30 in the morning. If we can get her to come down this street, we gonna be standing outside waiting on her. We already know she's a hothead. She's gonna jump out of her car and then she's gonna run toward me and I'm gonna blast her. They need that. They need to see some evidence of that in the works, okay? Text messages, statements, phone calls, voice notes, voicemails, okay? So no planning evidence, no prior statements expressing a desire to kill. So let's flip that around for a second. Now, if Romika had evidence that Holly called and said, hello, is this Romika's grandmother? I'm going to KI your granddaughter when I see her. If Holly had done that to Romika, or even if Holly, let's just say Romika threatened to KI Holly and Holly responded, I bet you I K you before you K me. That's also damaging, okay? That would be expressing the desire to kill. And sometimes we do that, we respond back with some bullshit, right? When we receive bullshit, sometimes we respond back with bullshit because we don't be thinking, right? But if Holly did any of that, if Romika said, I'm going to KI you when I see you, or I'm going to bust your head open when I see you, and Holly responded, I'm going to KI you before you KI me, or something like that, right? Another thing the state is missing, which is a classic intent indicator, would be lying in wait. It wasn't like Holly was there hiding behind a vehicle and was saying, hey, hey, Carlos, lure her here. I'm going to duck and I'm going to be behind this car and she's not going to see me. And when she pulls up and get out, I'm going to ambush her ass. There is no proof of Holly lying in wait. There is no evidence of an ambush, okay? And there is no evidence of an execution style behavior, all right? But instead, in this case, what do we have? The evidence points at a sudden escalation, emotional context, prior documented fear, and a short time frame, all right? Now, it says the state's nightmare. The defense doesn't have to prove lack of intent. They only have to show intent is unclear. So Holly's team does not have to prove lack of intent. They just have to show intent is unclear. Okay, once intent becomes debatable instead of obvious, then the state is in trouble. Because if the state cannot prove intent, they don't have a case. They will not be able to convict. All right. Now let's go in self-defense context plus a child being present. Why is this so important? A lot of people are failing to even mention Carson was right there. Matter of fact, I think I may have heard somebody say something like, oh, he wasn't in danger. He wasn't in no danger. Like they literally want to keep him out of the equation. Well, that's just not possible. A child was there. Okay. Now, a child being present actually complicates the state's case in a bigger way than people realize. Illinois law requires jurors to place themselves in the defendant's shoes at that moment. And a child being in the car changes the analysis because retreat becomes riskier. When you hear people say, why didn't she retreat? It wasn't just her. It was her and her baby, okay? It was her and her baby. So why didn't she retreat? Well, because it's her and her baby. It's a risky thing trying to get you and someone else out of the way, right? Physical confrontation becomes more dangerous. Now, the defense team says that Holly was physically attacked. Also, the incident report says Holly was physically attacked. The state has to prove that she was not physically attacked. But being physically attacked or not physically attacked still does not equate whether it was self-defense or not. All right. But if they can prove that a physical confrontation happens, then it becomes more dangerous for the state. All right. Now, let's continue. Oh, as far as the child being present, decision makings become more urgent, meaning if Holly didn't think for 10 additional seconds, she would not be punished, because when a child is present, right, then your decision making becomes more urgent, meaning that they will give leeway to whatever decision you made because a child was present. It becomes urgent. So if defending your life or defending that child life by pulling out a weapon and firing it, right? They give more weight to that because a child is present. Now let's talk about the state's dilemma. They must argue not just the force was unreasonable, but that a reasonable parent in that moment would not have perceived deadly danger. They would not have thought that their child could be in any type of danger. And we're talking any parent, whether it's a father, whether it's a mother, okay? When your child is present and you have someone running up on you, you have seconds to react. That's what the state say. The state says you are allowed to make a decision quickly. Why? Because a child is present. And the law says that you can defend your child. All right? All right, let's continue. So again, the state dilemma is that they must argue not just that the force was unreasonable, but that a reasonable parent in that moment would not have perceived deadly danger. All right? Now, that's an extremely uncomfortable argument to make to the jury. The juries don't ask, what would the law prefer? They ask, what would I have felt in that moment? And that emotional reality creates doubt even more. And reasonable doubt does not convict. Any reasonable doubt does not convict. All right. Now, let's talk about the prior threats. I saw somebody today in my comments on Facebook, and what they said was all those threats are going to be thrown out because she spoke back to Holly in that Ramika in that I would never video. So they think the threats that Ramika made to Holly is going to be canceled out because Holly went on social media and did a I would never video. Well, I'm here to tell you that is absolutely not true. Okay, so let's talk about these threats. Let's go and talk about why the threats and the stalking order is detrimental to the state. Okay, prior threats and a no contact order in place. It does three dangerous things for the state. It legitimizes fear. Fear didn't just start at the shooting, it exists before. That kills arguments that the fear was invented, that the fear was exaggerated, and that the fear was irrational. Number two, it destroys the random act narrative. The state prefers cases that look sudden, unprovoked, or isolated. But a documented history of threats make the incident look like a buildup of tension, not just a spontaneous murder. Okay? Right? Number three, escalation undermines premeditation. If the evidence shows that the other party re-engaged, pulled up, and closed the distance, then the state must explain how Holly simultaneously had time to calmly decide to KI Romika while reacting to renewed confrontation. Now, what am I talking about here? So it's been said, which there's no video, so we don't know this, but it's been said that the situation was calm at one point, right? Meaning that Carlos was able to calm Romika down and talk her into leaving. And he thought she was going to do just that. But apparently, when he went to move his truck up, she jumps out the car and she runs toward Holly, which means that she re-engaged Holly. She escalated the threat. She hastily ran toward Holly. She closed the distance between her and Holly. Now, we can ask, okay, or the state can ask, how can we prove that? How can you prove that she closed the distance? Well, one, we know she pulled up because it's on camera, right? It is on camera that she did a U-turn and she pulled up to Holly and Carlos, their location, and she double parked. She blocked Holly in. We know that because it's on camera, right? But close the distance. How do we know that? We know that she closed the distance because the body, when it fell right by Holly's car, which means Holly didn't advance toward Romika. Romika closed the distance between her and Holly. That's how you determine escalation. How was it escalated? Romika was approaching Holly. Holly wasn't approaching Romika. If Holly was advancing and closing the distance on Romika, then Romika's body would be somewhere else. Maybe by her car, maybe the back of her car, maybe the front of her car. But the fact that her body was right by Holly's car, and we all saw it, that is evidence that Romika closed the distance between her and Holly, not the other way around. Okay. Now, it says the escalation undermines the premeditation because first degree is basically saying that this is something that Holly wanted to do. She knew she was doing and she did it. Okay. But this undermines that. The distance, the closing of the distance, her pulling up and re-engaging. All right. The state must explain how this happened. How did this happen? They got to explain. If the state tries to come out and say, we don't know that happened, then they got to prove it. Then how did her body get right there? How did her body get right there? And then they may try to say something. Oh, she just came back to argue. She just came back to fuss at Holly. But how did Holly know whether or not this girl that had already threatened her life, had already said, I want to bash your head in. I want to KI you. How did Holly supposed to know what was about to happen? Someone that has threatened you multiple times, and now they run up on you. How was Holly supposed to know what Romika was about to do? Whether Romika was going to reach out and hug her, kiss her, shake her hand, dance with her. How was Holly supposed to know that? That's why I say these prior threats and a stalking order in place on top of her child being present and on top of the situation was calm and Romika closed the distance immediately, like fastly, hastily. Okay. That right there, Holly has the state has no way of knowing how Holly felt, whether she was scared, in fear. They have to prove that she was not in fear. They have to prove that she was not in fear. But how was she supposed to know what Romika was coming to do? Okay. So They have to explain that. The state does. All right. Now, let's talk about the multiple shots for a moment because the judge did mention multiple shots. All right. Multiple shots do not equal first-degree murder. But the prosecutor do love to argue this, but it's weak. Multiple shots sound powerful, but the court knows better. The legal reality is that firearm discharge in fractions of seconds. Stress responses can rapidly cause you to keep firing. We keep hearing, oh, the clip was empty, the clip was empty, the clip was empty. When you have your finger on the trigger or you were taught to, pull the trigger, doom, 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 or whatever, right? Because most people do that when they're shooting. They just go, doom, 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 doom. You know what I'm saying? They fire very quickly or whatever. The courts understand this. And also stress responses cause rapid firing as well, okay? If you've ever been out to a range and if you was ever stressed out, you're going to notice that actually if you went out to a range and you have someone like a coach and they're coaching you, they say, breathe, breathe, now shoot, breathe, now shoot. The reason why they do that is because sometimes you're a jerk and then you might fire off more shots, but they want you to breathe, then shoot, breathe, then shoot, breathe, then shoot, okay? That's calm shooting, right? But stress causes rapid firing. If you stressed out, you scared, you tense, or whatever the case may be, you're going to fire multiple shots. Boom, 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 boom. Shot counts say nothing about the shooter thought. Whether Holly had shot 3 times or 10 times, it says nothing about the shooter thoughts, which means it holds no weight. It holds no weight. Now, what the state needs but doesn't have, they need the proof of the pause that they are running with. Again, allegations aren't evidence. They need the proof of the pause, whether that's someone captured it on their phone or there's video cameras that prove that there was a pause. But they need proof that there was a pause. They also need proof that the shots continued after incapacitation, meaning that if Romika was down on the ground or she was no longer a threat and Holly kept firing, they need proof of that. They need proof, video footage, forensics, evidence, or however. They need proof of that, okay? Also proof of re-aiming after the threat ended. They need proof of that. They need proof, the state. Without those, the jury is left guessing. Well, was this a panic or was it done on purpose? And jurors are explicitly given instructions that they can't guess. Because guessing equals what? Reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt. Jury instructions on fear, reasonableness, and intent. Why instructions hurt the state more than it helps them? This is a critical piece of information right here. Illinois jurors are told fear can be sincere even if it's unreasonable, meaning a person can still fear for their life even if it's unreasonable. Self-defense and intent are separate questions. The state must prove each element independently. We're going to get into that in a minute as well. What the state must prove independently. Okay? Now, the state's problem, even if the jury says, I don't think self-defense fully applies here, they must still ask, did the state prove intent to kill beyond a reasonable doubt? Which means, even if they don't think, damn, I don't think that this is self-defense, y'all. But did the state prove intent to kill beyond a reasonable doubt? Did the state did the state prove intent? Intent to kill. Did they prove it? Did they? Did they prove that it wasn't a panic? Did they prove that it wasn't fear? Beyond a reasonable doubt? They have to ask themselves that. All right. Now, let's go on and we're going to talk about reasonable doubt. Hold on, let's go here. It says, many jurors get stuck trying to, where it says they're uncomfortable convicting of first degree. They feel something went wrong, but they aren't certain it was murder. That discomfort almost always resolved in favor of the defendant. All right. So why this case lives in reasonable doubt, why the state cannot eliminate alternative explanations. The defense only needs to offer one reasonable alternative narrative, and let's go over them. Here are the alternative narratives that the defense needs to offer: prior fear, escalation, child being present, rapid reactions, and no clear proof of deliberation. The state must eliminate that narrative entirely, which means the state has to, once they go to trial, they have to eliminate that Holly didn't have prior fear, that those threats that Ramika made wasn't shit. It did not scare her. It didn't do nothing. It means nothing. They have to literally destroy that narrative, destroy entirely, eliminate it, that there was prior fear. How are they going to do that? They also have to eliminate the narrative that a child was present and that Holly was afraid for her child. How are they going to do that? How are they going to do that? They also have to eliminate the narrative of escalation, meaning that Ramika escalated the threat by getting in Holly's face, by closing the gap on Holly. How are they going to eliminate that narrative when her body dropped by Holly's car? How are they going to eliminate that? I know a lot of people say, she said, Amor, you going in and out. Am I going in and out? Hold on. What about now? Can y'all hear me now? I hope I'm not going in and out. I know a lot of people say those threats mean nothing, but they mean everything. Because the state must eliminate that Holly had prior documented fear. They can't. They cannot. So that's one of the biggest issues in this case. They don't have to just prove guilt. They have to prove that the fear is not a reasonable explanation. How do you take away someone's fear? How? How can you tell someone that you weren't scared? Yeah, I know she threatened to KI you, but you wasn't scared. I know she called your grandmother and told your grandmother she's going to do this to you, but you wasn't scared. I know your son was in the backseat of the car, but you wasn't scared. I know you didn't invite her over here and she just popped up, but you wasn't scared. I know she blocked your vehicle in by double parking, but you wasn't scared. The state has to eliminate Holly's fear. Eliminate it. Not downplay it, but eliminate it. They have to prove that Holly's fear is not a reasonable explanation. Okay? When the jurors see a missing video, disputed, inconsistent witness statements, emotional context, human reaction, then they hesitate. And a hesitation equals acquittal. All right? No video of the actual shooting is a massive problem for the state, not the defense. If this was caught on tape and everything that the witnesses say happened was seen in the video, then this would be an easy win for the state. But the fact that there is no video of the actual shooting, that becomes a massive problem for the state. There is no footage showing the exact moment shots were fired, the distance between the party, whether the threat was still advancing, whether there was a pause or deliberation. Without this, timing becomes speculative. Intent become inferred, not shown, and sequence of events is debatable, not proven. Illinois juries are instructed that speculation cannot replace proof, meaning they can't convict you on speculations. They can't just say, oh, but I think, oh, but I guess. They cannot do that. They cannot do that. And a lot of speculation has been going on in social media, not just with everybody talking about it, including me. There's a lot of speculation that has been going around on social media. Speculation causes reasonable doubt. Speculation causes reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt equals an acquittal, not a conviction. All right. Because they have to convict beyond a reasonable doubt. All right. No clear evidence of deliberation or planning. Now, this is fatal to a first-degree murder. Again, the state normally prove intents with text messages, planning, behavior, prior expression of desire to off the person, statements. Even if Holly came out and or they found a text message where Holly told her baby daddy, I'm gonna get rid of Ramika one day, or anything like that, right? If they cannot prove any of that, then it's going to be fatal to a first-degree murder charge. Okay. And then we already talked about witness number 3. Not even just witness number 3. Of all 4 witnesses, not one of them actually saw the shooting itself. Even if one says, I saw Carlos standing in between Ramika and Holly, but did you see the shooting? No. No one saw the shooting. Another witness says, oh, I don't know. I didn't see the shooting. I don't know who the shooter was. The only way I knew who the shooter was because I heard her say, I got a license to carry. And that's how I found out who the shooter was. So if none of the witnesses actually saw Holly raise her arm and fire her weapon at Ramika, this is damaging to the state. Okay? It's a problem that there is no video evidence of the actual shooting. And you cannot convict off of speculation. Well, I think this happened. I think it went down like this. Right? You can't do that. You can't think, you can't allege. Those are not evidence. It has to be clear and concise. And it has to be proven. And without proof, they cannot convict. Okay. I talked about the witness statements, the inconsistent counts. Once the defense get a hold to the witness and it comes out that she didn't see what she say she saw because she was not where she needed to be in order to be able to see without having a barrier or anything like that, right? That she literally was right there. She had a clear vantage point of everything, right? If she had on headphones, we know that. She had her baby with her, we know that. She had a stroller with her, we know that. And she was on a CTA bus, we know that, right? So did she have a clear vantage point? No. And it's going to be proven that she did not. Okay. So the fact that it is going to be contradicted by video evidence of showing her other places and per her own words, I witnessed it from the smoothie shop. That is not a clear vantage point to say you saw everything and that you heard everything. That is not a clear vantage point. Okay. Now, let's talk about why lack of evidence is not a defense, but it's the law. And this is important, all right? The defense does not have to prove what exactly happened that day, second by second. The defense does not have to prove that self-defense was perfect. The defense does not have to prove that Holly made the best possible choice. They don't. And I hear people saying, but Amora, the Bible said, but Amora, morally, but Amora, right? Again, the defense does not have to prove Holly made the best possible choice ever. It does not have to be a perfect self-defense. And they do not have to prove what exactly happened second by second. They do not. The defense only has to show that the state cannot prove its version beyond a reasonable doubt. What is the version? What we're hearing so far, the state is saying Holly threatened Ramika while Ramika stood there with her arms crossed, just being quiet and looking at Holly. The state said Holly advanced toward Ramika, was antagonizing Ramika, closed in on Ramika, shot Ramika, and Ramika fell into traffic. That is what the state said, you guys. And guess what? The defense only have to show that the state can't prove its version beyond a reasonable doubt. With evidence missing, the law resolves that absence in the favor of the defendant. If the state cannot prove what they claim, what they alleged, that Holly paused between the shots, Holly shook Carlos's hand in celebration, Holly advanced toward Ramika, Holly threatened Ramika, Holly banged on the hood and said, get out, bitch, fight me, fight me, fight me, right? The number one thing that's going to hurt the state when proving that is witness number 3. Is witness number 3. Because what witness number 3 said and the evidence on the scene is totally different. The state wants us to believe that Holly closed in on Ramika. She came running after Ramika and shooting at Ramika. Then why did her body end up by Holly's car? That is why they moved the body bullshit in there. Where is the proof of that? Where are the drag marks? Where is the blood spill? Why does Holly's car have blood on it? They have to prove what they are alleging. Again, the defense does not have to prove that Holly made the best possible decision. I'm sure after Holly has thought about this, whether before she got locked up or even since she got locked up, I'm sure about 5 other things that she probably have came up and said, damn, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have done that. But the defense does not have to prove that she made the best possible choice. They do not have to prove that the self-defense was perfect. They don't even have to explain what happened second by second, frame by frame. They only have to prove that the state cannot prove its version, because their version is Holly planned this. Holly wanted Ramika gone. Holly plotted, planned, intended to do this. They have to prove this. And if they can't, then Holly would be found not guilty. Okay? Now, again, when the evidence is missing, and they are, then the law resolves that the absence of the evidence is going to be in the favor of the defendant, not the state. All right? Now, why is all of this especially damaging to this case? Well, because this is a first-degree murder charge, not a lesser offense, a first-degree murder charge. First degree requires certainty of intent, certainty of mental state, and certainty of unjustified force. That is what a first degree requires. This case have gaps, conflicting narratives, missing visuals, and context pointing to fear. Fear. First degree murder cannot survive on, well, this probably happened like this, or I think it happened like this. It cannot. It can't survive on probably, or I think, or maybe. It can't. It has to have clear cut evidence. If not, then there is no first degree. There is no first degree. Okay. Now, I told y'all in my last live that a defense does not have to accept anything other than what the original charge was for. Okay. Now, I went back and did more research. And, I'm just going to be honest with you. Before the jury selection, let's just say, things are going on, they're going on. And all of a sudden, the state say, you know what? I know I can't beat no damn first degree case. I know I can't beat it. And she will walk if we only do first degree. So what they may try to do, and this is not me putting it in the atmosphere, this is just me keeping it real with y'all, right? What they may try to do is tack on more charges. Now, they haven't done that thus far. They've only done first degree. But they may try to come back with some type of, I don't even know, maybe a gun charge or displaying your weapon in the public around children or something like that, right? And then, the defense attorney will have to take on that, right? But they may try to do something else, especially if the defense rejects their plea. If they can't get the defense to accept the plea, then they may try to do something else. Who knows? But it has to be done before jury selection. Once they select jury, then they cannot add on no more damn charges. They cannot add on charges mid-trial. They can't do that. All right. So, what else we got here? I know it was something else I wanted to talk to y'all about. Oh, let's break down something else here. Let's break down. We talked about vantage point. Let's talk about vantage point a little bit more, right? Because it has to be clear vantage point. Okay. The vantage points is everything and it matters, right? For a witness to meaningfully support first degree, they must be able to say where both parties were positioned. Okay. They have to say who was moving toward whom, whether there was separation, whether the threat had ended, whether shots were fired after that point. If a witness was far away, was moving, was riding on a bus, was on a sidewalk, had a baby carriage, had headphones on, vehicles going left and right and front and back, with all of that, and admittance out of their own mouth saying that they witnessed everything from the smoothie shop, which is across the street from the crime scene. Okay. If a witness cannot pinpoint a clear vantage point, then their testimony about they saw this, they heard this, it will not be reliable. It will not be reliable. Okay? They have to have clear vantage point. They can't say, yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I heard everything. Yeah, I saw the shots. I saw the advance forward. I saw where they was positioned at. I saw all of this. Well, they can't say, I saw all of that and also say, but I was on the bus. I was riding. I was walking. I was listening to my music or not. Or I was talking to my boyfriend. I was talking to 911. I had my baby there. I was pushing a stroller. The traffic was out there. Like, you cannot say that you saw every single thing when you were moving. You wasn't even stationary. You wasn't stationary. Okay. So the Illinois juries are instructed to discount testimonies based on limited observation. Okay. So if Attorney Airy is able to prove that the witness was moving, listening to music, or had her headphones on and all this other stuff, if she's able to prove it, which she says she have her on tape. Now, if we are to believe Attorney Airy has this on tape, then the jury will be instructed to discount the testimony based on limited observation. Now, inconsistencies are not small. They are legally significant. When witness statements change between on-scene statements and later interviews, add new details later, become more detailed over time, and conflict with the video evidence, which is the biggest one, right? When a witness statement conflicts with video evidence, that raises credibility flags, okay? It raises the flags. Now, again, defense doesn't need to prove the eyewitness is lying, but they do need to show that the testimony is not reliable enough to support a first-degree conviction. They're not just going to take the word of someone and convict someone of first degree if it's not 100% certain. Meaning that not just what a witness says, but doesn't match evidence, doesn't match the video evidence. We all have heard witness number 3 she said a whole bunch of outlandish shit, from Holly ran toward Romika and start approaching her. We also heard that once Romika broke away from Carlos, she was trying to retreat. She was trying to get out of the way because she was scared, right? And if that is the case, then she wouldn't have tried to retreat to Holly's car. She would have tried to retreat to her own car. The shots would not be in her face, forward to backwards. It wouldn't be in her thigh, forward to backwards. It would be somewhere else. Okay? Somewhere else. So the evidence does not support the witness statement. She was advancing toward her. They moved the body. All of that does not work. It absolutely do not work. Now, star witness cases are inherently risky. Prosecutors prefer multiple independent witnesses telling the same story. But when the state leans heavily on one key witness without evolving statements, whose vantage point is disputable, and it is, that becomes dangerous for the state. Okay? So if the jury rejects that witness, then the state narrative collapse, fall down, kapoosh, capiche, okay? And then the intent becomes unprovable. The jury is left with gaps the state cannot fill, and first-degree murder cases do not survive on a single shaky-ass witness. Okay? One person testimony, especially if it's shaky, is not going to seal a conviction of a first-degree murder. Okay? Now, witness testimony cannot prove intent without corroboration. Even a credible witness generally cannot testify to intent unless they observe verbal threats at that moment, calm, deliberate behavior, execution style actions, and a clear pause and re-engagement. Now, let me just say this, because now I just thought about something. As I listen or as I'm reading these out, okay? Let me just read this again, and then we're going to go into something deeper. It says, even a credible witness generally cannot testify to intent unless they observe verbal threats at that moment, calm, deliberate behavior, execution style actions, and a clear pause and re-engagement. If the witness did not hear, I'm going to kill you, or see control behavior, then intent must still be inferred. And inference are where reasonable doubt lives. Now let's stop for a moment, you guys. Let's stop for a moment. Let me drink some water. Let me drink my little water over here. Now I'm going to say this. Even though I know Ari is going to do her job and she's going to do it very well, and I do believe in my heart of hearts that Holly will be found not guilty. Let me say that first. But now I'm going to go a little further. And I'm going to make it's going to be an opinion. This is my opinion. This is not based on facts. This is just my opinion that I'm about to insert or assert. The fact that it just said a credible witness genuinely cannot testify to intent unless they observe verbal threats at the moment, calm, deliberate behaviors, execution style actions, and a clear pause and re-engagement. Now, I'm going to base my opinion and say the witness is 21 years old, right? You know, when you that age, you're not that on point, right? You kind of a little bit all over the place. For this 21-year-old witness to come on the panel of another blogger and say some of these things, like, she said, I'm going to shoot you, bitch. She said, I'm going to shoot you, bitch. Right? And when we first heard it, that she was in a headlock, right? And people thought that she was shot in a headlock. That's execution style actions. And now we're hearing it was a 10-second pause between each shot. I don't know. It smells a little fishy to me. It smells a little fishy to me. Now, mind you, there was one testimony given on the scene by a cop that had on a body camera vest. And then there was another testimony given at the station. And some of the stuff that was mentioned in the interrogation room was not mentioned at the scene. It smells fishy. I don't want to accuse no one of doing anything illegal or suspect, but I'm just going to use the word fishy. It smells fishy to me, and I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave that up to your own interpretation. It just smells fishy to me because when you think about it, why in the world would a 21-year-old say that there was a 10-second pause between each shot? How would a 21-year-old even know to point that out? How would a 21-year-old know to repeat, "I'm going to shoot you, bitch," when she was not even at the scene at that time? She was not close enough to hear, "I'm going to shoot you, bitch." And she had on over-the-ear headphones. And it's evident that she had on over-the-ear headphones because when she was right in front of the cop, she had to take her headphones off and put it around her neck just to hear what the cop was saying to her right then and there. So all I'm going to say, again, I don't want to accuse anybody of doing anything illegal, but what I will say is it sounds a little fishy to me. Now, with that being said, it don't even matter because the defense attorney have evidence that places the witness in another area at the time of the shooting, okay? Which means that she did not see it. She did not see it. So I'm not even worried about her, but it's just suspect. That's all I'm saying. Fishy. We're going to use the word fishy. It's just a little fishy to me. But again, it doesn't mean anything because she's not reliable based on, her own behavior. Her own behavior, okay? Glancing out the window for 9 seconds. Now, all of a sudden, you heard everything, you saw everything, whatnot. Yeah. It doesn't pass the smell test. Okay. All right. Now, let's go back to when witness testimony conflicts with physical or video evidence. All right. This is one of the most damaging scenarios for the state. If the video contradicts where a witness claimed to be, if the video contradicts the timing, and if the video contradicts line of sight, the juries are instructed to trust objective evidence over memory. Okay? Meaning that they would have to take the evidence of where she was versus the evidence of where she says she was. They're going to look at the video evidence and say, well, the video shows that your ass was ducking behind the building. So we're going to trust that that's where you were, right? That's where you were versus where you say you were. All right. Now, once a witness is contradicted by video, their entire testimony becomes suspect. Now, I didn't say their entire testimony will be thrown out. I said it will become suspect. Even parts that might be true are doubted. Okay, the doubt spreads. Okay. Now, why witness number 3 testimony hurts the state more than it helps? Let's talk about it, shall we? Because the state must use witnesses to prove what the video does not show. The state must rely on memory to establish intent and timing. The state must ask juries to trust perception over uncertainty. Meanwhile, the defense only have to say, you don't actually know what happened in those seconds. You don't know. And the beauty about this, because someone mentioned that they were out there for a long time. They had to be out there for about 11 minutes. In those 11 minutes, she could have retreated. In those 11 minutes, she could have done that. In those 11 minutes, she could have done that. Without video evidence, the defense, only thing they have to say is, you don't know what actually happened in those seconds. They don't even have to say what happened. They don't even have to tell the jury what happened. The jury is not going to say, okay, well then tell me what happened. No, they don't have to. Guess why? Because a defender have a right to remain silent. They ain't got to say shit. Holly literally don't have to ever say shit. Take the stand, say what happened. And this is not just Holly, but in any murder trial, any case, you as a defendant do not even have to explain. You don't. You don't even have to say what happened. They have to say, they have to prove whatever they're accusing you of. So without Holly saying anything, without Holly making a statement, Holly do not have to go out there and say, this is what happened. She did this, she did that, she did this, she did that, she did this, she did that. And then all of a sudden they try to trip her up and say, well, wait a minute. You said she did this, and now you're saying she did that. Holly never have to take the stand. Holly never have to explain her side. She can literally die being the only one to know what happened on that day from her vantage point, okay? I believe that is why they are using Carlos as witness number one, because they are trying to use Carlos to tell the story from the defendant point of view, right? But if Holly herself, because she's the one on trial, not Carlos, right? But if Holly herself don't ever say a word, right? Because she doesn't have to. Again, the defense only have to say, you don't actually know what happened in those seconds. You don't know. Tell the state you don't know. Prove it then. Prove what happened. Prove what happened. You said it happened, prove it. Prove it. Prove what you just said. Prove what you said. And if they can't, then there will be no first degree murder trial. No, if they can't without a reasonable doubt, there will be no first degree murder conviction, not charge, but conviction. Anybody can get charged. Anybody can get charged. Not anybody, but you know what I'm saying. A charge is a charge. A conviction is something different. Okay. All right. So again, witness testimony is only as strong as the witness' ability to actually see what they are describing. In a fast, chaotic encounter with no video of the shooting itself, inconsistent witness accounts don't clarify the truth. That creates doubt. And first degree murder cannot be proven on doubt, cannot win on doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt, the state fails. Weak witnesses, they don't just fail to prove guilt, they help prove reasonable doubt. So witness number 3 is going to be the state's biggest reasonable doubt. The state's biggest reasonable doubt, because what your star witness said is not consistent with the evidence on the scene. Is not consistent at all. He came running after her. She was actually walking away. She was turning away and going back to her vehicle. Her body fell in the street and she was moved. She was moved from all the way over there to over here. No, Holly was chasing after her. Holly was advancing, closing in the gap, escalating. It wasn't Romika. Romika just had her hands across her chest and she wasn't saying anything. Everything that was being said was from Holly, not Romika. Romika was afraid. I saw in her eyes that she was scared. She was so scared. But she was so scared that she got back out of the car. She was so scared, but she got back out of the car. But she was scared, but she got back. But I don't think she would have got out of the car had she saw the gun. had she saw the gun. Witness number 3 wants us to believe that she was standing across the street at the smoothie bar and saw Holly go back to her car, go to the passenger side, and pull out a weapon. But claim Romika didn't see that shit. Because she said, I don't believe Romika would have got out the vehicle if she knew Holly had a gun. How did she not know Holly had a gun if Holly announced to the world so loud that witness number 3 heard her say this? She announced to the world so loud, I'm going to get my weapon. I'm going to shoot you, bitch. I'm going to shoot you, bitch. She announced that so loud, everybody heard it but Romika. Romika didn't hear it because she said out her own mouth, had Romika knew that Holly had a gun, that she wouldn't have gotten out. Really? Okay. She was so scared. I saw in her face she was scared. I could tell that she was scared. I could tell. She said she can tell that Romika was scared. If Romika was scared, then why did Romika get out of the car? Why did Romika close in the gap? Because that's exactly what she did. She closed in the gap. Romika went over into Holly's territory. Holly did not come over into Romika territory. That's why I believe that the body was moved came in later, because the shit just didn't make sense. Let's just really talk about it. You say on recording that Holly advanced toward Romika. If that is the case, then how did Holly end up back by her car and Romika's body end up by Holly's car? Which means that Romika closed in the gap on Holly and not the other way around. So again, the biggest reasonable doubt is witness number 3. When I tell you her statement have so many holes that I feel like I can win this case for Holly myself. I literally feel, without having NAM law degree, that I can seriously win this case on my own with no experience, no real legal education. But I feel that I can win this case on my own. That's just how weak it is. Now, initially, I thought that there was a video of the attack. Why? Well, because the incident report said it. It said it corroborates the witness statement. But it does not. It does not. They have no video footage of the actual incident, the shooting. They have none. Okay? She said, witness number 3, they moved Romika's body and mopped up the blood. Girl got some fingernail polish and poured it all down there and got rid of it or something, girl. And got rid of it, right? She said, asking because that means the witness lied to the grand jury. Okay, so I did look to see whether she could be charged. And let me... I'm going to come back to the other one in a minute. But I did look to see whether she could be charged. Hold on 1 second. Where did I put that at? Let me see. Where did I put that at? I do remember asking. Let me see if I can remember off the top of my head. It says something along the lines of she can, if she does a statement or whatever and she's sworn in, she can be held reliable. However, is not. They normally don't go after them, is what it says. They normally don't go after them. Let me see. Where did I have that at? They normally just be like, girl, take your goofy ass on, whatever. They normally don't go after them. Okay. She said, don't go there, Amor. We're talking about Cook County. Don't go where? I'm lost. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't go where? Oh, you saying don't go to where that she could be charged? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Don't say that the defendant can be charged. I mean, the witness can be charged. Is that what you're saying? I don't have no idea what you mean. Don't go there. I looked it up. It's somewhere in here, but anyway, but it was something small. It was hold on, let me just hit refresh. She says they are Crook County. Yeah, they are, but at the same time, they could be Crook County all they want to, but baby, they ain't about to get no first degree, and I think they know that. They're not about to get a first degree. But where did it say could she be charged? I know I looked at it, but anyway, if I find it again, I'll go over it. But it was something to the fact of she can, but most people don't go after the witness. They kind of just leave it alone, like just whatever, right? If I come back across it, I will say it. If not, just know that she can, but it's probably less likely that Holly would even want to fool with her after this. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of go on with her life and forget this person. But this person will forever probably go down in some people's eyes as a hero and some people's eyes as a liar. A liar witness that pretty much cost the state their case. Because that's how I look at it. I actually think that this witness number 3 actually hurts the case more than it helps the case. That's just my opinion. I believe that it hurts it. I actually believe that it hurts it. I want to play a video right quick, and it's not a long video. It's very short. Maybe, I don't even know. It's very, 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 very short. So hold on. I just want you guys to see something. All right, right here. So now this is another case. This is out of Ohio. I think this is out of Ohio, is it? Yeah, this is out of Ohio. Okay. So this is a case of murder. And the prosecution realized that that they overcharged, and they wanted to ask the judge for a lesser charge, right? And I want y'all to hear what the judge says, okay? And then we're going to talk about it.
During a hearing before testimony began, prosecutor Seth Teager asked Judge Leslie Giz to add a new charge to the state's case against Ray Tensing.
The first jury was unable to reach a verdict, and in order to prevent a miscarriage of justice, where there could be a second hung jury, that the state feels that it's important that the court give the lesser included offense of reckless homicide.
Reckless homicide is a third-degree felony with a maximum sentence of 3 years. Tensing.
So instead of they feel like, damn, we can't get him on murder charge. So we want something, right? So they're asking the judge for reckless homicide, which is only 3 years, but they just don't want to lose altogether. They're like, no, we just don't want to lose. Please, 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 we don't want to lose. Can we just offer a lesser charge so that he can be locked up for something?
Miscarriage of justice, where there could be a second hung jury, that the state feels that it's important that the court give the lesser included offense of reckless homicide.
Reckless homicide is a third-degree felony with a maximum sentence of 3 years. Tensing is charged with murder, involuntary manslaughter. Murder could mean life in prison, while the manslaughter charge has a max sentence of 11 years.
He was charged with first-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. So 2 charges. He was charged with first-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. All right, well, let's tell you what happened.
Tensing's attorney argued against including the lesser charge, suggesting he's confident prosecutors haven't proved Tensing meant to murder Sam DuBose when he shot him during this traffic stop 2 years ago.
The state has been in charge of this prosecution since July 19th, 2015. The indictment in this case was returned approximately 10 days later. State had every opportunity at that time to include a count for reckless operation, reckless homicide, which was not included in the indictment at that time.
Judge Giz agreed and declined the prosecution's request.
They had every opportunity at some point, if they wanted, before the evidence was presented to a court, to bring forward the reckless homicide charge, and they chose not to.
Okay.
Now, the idea of a lesser included charge was first mentioned days before the retrial by Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters, but during court today, Giz said the state simply wants her to give jurors another option, and barring a new development, she says the evidence does not support making such a move. Reporting live downtown, Todd Dykes, WWT News 5.
So let's talk about this one, and then I'm gonna show you another one. So for this one right here, okay, they asked for a lesser charge because, you know, I'm pretty sure they probably start seeing that the first degree murder and the manslaughter or whatever wasn't working. So they asked for a lesser charge. They rejected it, and he was acquitted on everything. Found not guilty on everything. Okay, he walked. So he was facing first degree murder and manslaughter or something like that, and he walked on both of them because, again, it's not about what happened; it's about what can be. Oh shoot! It's not about what happened; it's about what can be proven, right? Now, I want to show you another one. This is also out of Ohio. Okay, so dang, we got two in Ohio. I don't know why, but we do. Let's look at this one. Okay, now again, he was charged with first degree murder as well, and the prosecutors wanted to include a lesser offense of reckless homicide. And let's find out what happened.
Prosecutors want jurors to be able to consider the lesser charge of reckless homicide in the upcoming murder trial of Dr. Will Husel, but attorneys for the former Mount Carmel doctor are objecting, claiming he's immune. Husel was accused of ordering potential fatal doses of fentanyl be given to patients under his care. Prosecutors initially chose their focus their criminal case on 25 patients, but just last week it was narrowed down to 14 after 11 counts were dismissed. Prosecutors want jurors to be able to consider reckless homicide, which would mean they would not have to prove Husel purposefully caused the deaths. Husel's defense team claims state law provides immunity to doctors providing comfort care, even if the patient dies. Husel's trial is set to start on February 14th.
Now, if you want to know what happened, let me go on and tell you. This man was accused of killing 25 people by giving them fentanyl to just, I guess, I don't know what the hell he gave it to them for, to make them relax or whatever, and whatever. But anyway, and they dropped, it was 25 in the beginning, they dropped like 11 or whatever, and it was down to 14, or they dropped 14, it was down to 11, or whatever the case may be. It was still 10 plus people that he went before a jury. He was acquitted on all charges. He didn't get no time whatsoever. Why? Because it wasn't about whether he was reckless or did something wrong. They charged him with murder. So there is a thing that they could charge you wrong. They charged him wrong and the other guy wrong, and they received no time. Okay, so if they do the wrong charge or overcharge or whatever the case may be, they can't come back later and be like, all right, I'm just playing. Let me charge you for the right thing now. Let's do this again, and let me charge you for the lesser charge. They cannot do that. That is considered double jeopardy. So in these two cases right here, now, I didn't pick for both of them to be out of Ohio, but they both are in Ohio. These two cases right here proves that you could be charged with first degree murder. Now, some states don't have first degree, they just have murder. And I think Ohio don't have first degree, it's just murder. But two people was charged with murder and they got off totally. Why? Because, well, the state overcharged or charged incorrectly. Okay. She says, I see where you're going with this, Amora, but these are white men, and we all know justice is different with white people are involved. I understand what you're saying, but in my opinion, the law is the law. Now, I'm glad you said that, Lolita, because I have a comment that I want to say about this. Now, woo, Jesus, honey, I had to scratch my head before I say this, okay? Now, I am going to be very transparent with y'all. This is not to piss nobody off, but it may. And I'm letting you know now it is not my intent to piss you off, okay? Y'all know I love my women. It don't matter what color you are. Black, white, yellow, green, gold, purple, orange. I love women. Not in no sexual way, but I just, I'm there for my women, right? Because I'm a woman and I know the bullshit we have to go through sometime. But I'm just going to be honest with y'all on this one. If I was Attorney Ari, when I tell you I would not put an emotional ass woman on my jury stand at fucking all. If I could get away with it, I would have all men, but I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if she could do that, but I will put the minimum amount. If they say you got to have 2 women, that's will be all I have is 2 women. Okay. I would put the men on there because I think that they would be able to set aside the emotions in this case versus the women. I think women in this case is looking at things that don't even have nothing to do with the case. I.e. things like, she was baby mama number 1. She had all the rights in the world, right? Baby mama number 1. It was okay that she popped up to talk to her baby mama. That's her baby mama, for God's sakes. She was baby mama number 1. She takes precedence of all baby mamas. She is the queen baby mama. Listen, I would not put you emotional women on the case to defend my life, okay? Again, I don't know if it's a requirement, how many women are on there, but I would do the very minimum, okay? She said that's not a jury of her peers with just only men. Well, why not? Why not? How is that not a jury of her peers? Peers is not based on gender or sex. Peers is not based on that. Me being in the military, majority of my peers were guys. They were guys. So anyway, I'm really trying to tell you, I would, and the thing about it is the defense gets to pick the jury, right? Now, again, I'm not saying I wouldn't put no woman, but I guarantee you it wouldn't be 12 of y'all. And I guarantee you it wouldn't be 10 or 11 of y'all. I'm telling you, I wouldn't even get 6 women. I would literally get maybe 1 or 2 at the most. And then I would get, in my opinion, white men. Why? Because, well, they believe in the Second Amendment. We the only race round here that seem to think that we need to scuff it out in the streets, okay? That we need to throw hands and put paws and all types of shit like that, okay? But I would get majority white men, a couple of white women or whatever, people that believe in the Second Amendment. Now, if you are pro-life and do not believe in the Second Amendment, or you go to church every Sunday and you obey by the God said, thou shalt not kill, I'll be like, what's your favorite Bible verse? As soon as you say it, I'll be like, I don't want that person. I don't want that person, right? And if they say, yeah, I go to church every Sunday, I don't miss a Sunday, I don't want that person. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm being serious. I would handpick my jury. I would definitely pick people that believe in the Second Amendment, trust self-defense claims, I would definitely, and I will tell you that, you do have to fill out a form before they select you for jury duty, right? But even if you're selected for jury duty, they call you in there and they still wing you out, okay? So it doesn't mean that just because you got selected that you're going to be on this case. They still gonna get you in there and ask you a whole lot of questions. And trust and believe there is a strategy. I may not know the strategy, but if I was the attorney, baby, I will make a strategy. Okay, she said, I see why they don't like Amora. She came with facts. Oh, they don't like me because I don't just, and I was telling somebody this today. I think I was talking to Candy. I said, a lot of women, they don't like my demeanor, right? Because I'm not an overly emotional female. Like, I have my moments, but I don't particularly think like a female or react like a female. I am a female. I don't get it twisted. I am a female. But I believe being in the military for, majority of my damn life, right? Or younger life, that I have a demeanor about me, a no nonsense type of demeanor. But you have to understand that came from training and my profession. All right. I do believe that police officers probably act the same way. It's not that I lack empathy. It's just that I don't wear my feelings on my sleeves. And I may say things very direct and precise, and it bothers people, okay? Because I've noticed here on social media, a lot of women are very emotional and they judge everything based on their emotions. I've noticed that. And with that being said, that gets you nowhere. In my opinion, that gets you nowhere, okay? So I could be a little rough around the edges to some people, especially insecure women. Insecure women do not like me, okay? More confident women probably take to me more, or even enjoy me, or, can vibe with me. But if you have some insecurities, yeah, I may shake you up, not intentionally. I don't do it intentionally, but it's through training and just my experiences. But again, I would not put when I tell you, I would be asking questions. I would be like, when? I'll be like, are you married or are you divorced? When was your last breakup? What did he do to you? Baby, I'm going to be asking, because I'm telling you, I would be like, does your husband have a child by another woman? Do you have a boyfriend with another baby mama? And I'm telling y'all this is because some of these women feel like Romika had more rights than Holly because she was baby mama number one. Almost like she can run the show. She can do what she want to do and get away with it. So again, I'm sure there's a method to the madness on how they select this jury pool. But I promise you, I would not have a whole lot of women up there, especially not those that still hurt from they baby daddy, they boyfriend, husband, whoever that hurt them. Or if they got cheated on and got a baby by, another girl, or think a woman, destroyed their relationship, or whatever the case may be. Some people know how to deal with it and some don't. And even though it may have been 20 years, they still holding on to that stuff. So with that said, I promise you, I would have majority men on my defense team. Okay. She said, man, look, it's our job to unlearn and learn these things, or we would be behind like the rest. To be honest, all of this shit was red flags. Yep. And the things that I've heard off of real tea talk from the text messages and things that Romika was sending Carlos, there was some great concern there. Absolutely great concern. And it wasn't just concern for Holly, it was concern for Ramika herself. In my opinion, I believe Ramika was a ticking time bomb. She was a ticking time bomb. That is my opinion. Okay. So she said, yeah, a lot of broken women with unhealed hearts are out here. Yes. And they speak directly from their pain. From their pain. They don't understand legalities. They don't understand that certain things are for our protection. You know what I'm saying? And excuse me, they speak solely from their pain, you know, and you really can't get mad at those women. They're just not there yet, right? You know, at one time I'm cussing them out and like, oh, you're illiterate, you're this, you this. But everybody does not grow at the same speed. And there's a lot of women that are still hurting. They are still hurting. They're probably hurting from their very first breakup. They probably still dealing with rejections, right? So with that being said, I promise you, I will not put all these women in my jury. She says because they are bitter and having flashbacks of what was done to them by men. I do have to agree with you on that one. She said, yep, I always answer these questions with bias because I never wanted to be picked because innocent people are found guilty and sometimes guilty folks go free. And I didn't want to be a part of either case. I hear you, girl. I hear you. I don't like jury duty either. I don't like it either. They picked me and I'm so glad that I didn't have to actually stand. I mean, they picked me to come down there. It was like 100 of us or whatever. But then they finally said, oh, they accepted a plea because they can literally accept the plea before the jury are selected. And we went down there. It was like 100 of us, seriously. And the guy came out and said, hey, everybody, you know, thank you for showing up. But the guy just accepted a plea deal. The guy just accepted a plea deal. And I was like, thank God, because I ain't want to be here. And then they going to have the nerve to give me a $20 gift card for my time. Like, if y'all don't get up out of here. So anyway, they can pull the plug before the jury is selected. And this case can happen like that as well. However, I don't believe that they're going to do that. She says, if you date a man for 9 to 10 years that cheats on you and lie to you is emotional abuse by Carlo, which explains her mindset. I believe they emotionally abused each other because from those text messages where Carlos is saying to her, you can't keep abusing me in front of my child. In my opinion, hearing that means that they were both doing it to each other. So I believe that, you know, that they had a toxic relationship and it was probably best that it ended. And I believe Ramika had a hard time of moving on. Do I have proof of that? No, but just based off those text messages, and that's just one-sided text messages, I do believe that Ramika had a hard time with moving on. But the women that are taken up for Ramika, and I'm not saying taken up for her as far as they want to see justice, I don't see anything wrong with them wanting to see justice. But justice may be just closure. Justice may be that they have to find out in a court of law that Holly did everything right. Justice might just be finding out that what was said happened on that day did not happen. I believe that Ramika should receive justice as well. And again, justice might just be closure. Okay? I honestly believe Holly acted in self-defense, and I believe it's going to take this trial for the family to also realize that Holly was defending herself. I don't even know if the family knows the magnitude of threats and stalking that Holly had to endure from their family member, from Ramika. So justice will be served, in my opinion, when Holly is found not guilty. And I just pray that the family will be able to accept that and move on, because justice is also closure. It provides closure. Okay. So again, I know a lot of women are out there like, no, 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 no. She lost her life and somebody has to pay. Well, it's going to trial. And when it comes back that Holly did everything that she was allowed to do, right? Allowed to do by the law, then I hope that they're able to accept that. I pray. Not just her family, but her supporters as well. Now, I don't think that they will, right? I don't think that they will, but they may have to, you know. She thought she was finna abuse Holly like she did Carlos. Well, you know, just I went through worse than that 15 years and I still ain't. I'm still not bitter and don't blame him for whatever I've done in my life. Yeah, I mean, I just think being bitter, to be honest with you, it stunts your ability to live a very prosperous, happy life. It hurts you. Holding on to anger, pain, you being bothered by somebody, that hurts you. I would never want to hold on to that. I would never want to continue to be mad at somebody that then went on about their life. A lot of these people then went on about their life, you know, and it's people that still sitting back and hurting over someone that ain't even thinking about them like that, you know. So yeah, she said acceptance on both ends for whatever comes at this point. Exactly, Kim. I mean, because what are the choices? There aren't none. They're not going to be any more. She said, I feel is Holly engaged in the arguments to the part where Carlos had to push her back. She was not afraid. Where is that proof that Carlos had to push her back? Where is that proof? Where is that proof? That's an allegation. That is not a proof. That's only allegations. So the state is going to have to prove that Carlos pushed her back. Carlos had to push her back. And even if what you're saying is true and even proven, which we know is not, but even if it is proven, Carlos having to push Holly back does not give Romika a right to re-engage and run up on Holly. Because that's what she did. She ran up on Holly. How do we know that? Well, the evidence. Her body landed right by Holly's car, not the other way around. She said people are overlooking the fact that a lot of us women would never had played the Holly role. No secure woman would have ever stayed with the man with all that drama. She was with the mess also. But if you say that, then you have to say no secure woman would stay with a man for 9 years and he sleeps with all these different women. He impregnate another woman. No secure woman would even want to deal with him no more outside of just co-parenting. Wouldn't have even stopped early in the morning to even entertain them. No secure woman would have even been worried about where he's laying his Peter Jeter. No secure woman. So when you say Holly was with the mess and you call her insecure, what are you saying about Romika? Romika gave him 9 years, not Holly. She was the fool. She chose to do that. He played all in Romika's face. All in Romika's face. And she still wanted to be with him. She said, did Carlos see the shooting? It happened when he went to the truck to move his truck. I'm not sure because I have not seen Carlos' statement. And I believe some of it will come out in court though, There is no proof of it, Amora. That's internet rumors. Exactly. So when you say that he pushed her back, where is that proof? The state would have to prove that. The state would have to prove that Carlos pushed Holly back. Right? She said Holly was the fool for getting pregnant again. I don't know about that. Why you call her a fool for getting pregnant again? That's her man. Why do you call her a fool? Are you saying that she should have got married first and then got pregnant again? Is that what you're saying? He played in Holly's face as well. He didn't come home that night, allegedly. But we don't have proof of that. Again, allegedly. And what does that have to do with a self-defense claim? What does even getting pregnant again have to do with a self-defense claim? She said, what time is court on Wednesday? I want to say it's 9 o'clock. It's either 8:30 or 9. It's early, though. But what is whether she got pregnant again or he didn't come home that night? What does that have to do with a self-defense claim? She said he's her man and everyone else man. But what does that have to do with a self-defense claim? Some of you women are sleeping with a man that's sleeping with other women right now. Some women that is in the chat going hard in the paint, talking about some justice for Romika, justice for Romika. Y'all dealing with a cheating man right now. A cheating, lying man right now. You know? Romika saw Holly that morning and got furious knowing Holly got that Amazon Prime the previous night. She got nailed to the cross. I guess, baby. I guess. You know. Also, Real T said that there was text messages where Romika was asking Carlos to come over and eat her out and have sex with her. So for a woman that had moved on, was doing bigger and better things and did not want him, well, she sure wanted him to come mess around and play in that cat. There's text messages of her asking to just come and, you know, handle that. She said, just like she walked to get the gun, she could have got in the car and left. That has to be proven. Where's the proof that she walked to the car and got the gun? Allegations are not evidence. Let me say that again. Hashtag, you guys, allegations are not evidence. Allegations are not evidence. She said you should show a video of a headlock. That witness boyfriend made it seem like a wrestling headlock. Yeah, and guess what? He wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. You know? But allegations are not evidence. A lot of people have a whole lot of allegations, and that's all they are. Allegations. They are not evidence. You have to prove that. What's the date of the message before you say anything about that? I don't know. I would have to ask the person that saw it. Real T saw that. She said, was they still bumping or was they not still bumping? I'm not sure. And you know, I really don't care if they was bumping or not. I don't try to fixate my life on who getting dick and who not. As long as I get some when I want it, you know, or when he want it or whatever, that's all that mattered to me. I don't really care about who doing that. But I know that there was a text message read that she was asking him to come and, you know, handle her, scratch her little cat box, okay? So, but it was within the last year or two, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I was told. So, and she said he was not responding. Oh, damn. Now, that got to be some rejection for your ass if you asking somebody to come scratch your cat box and they ain't even entertaining you. They ain't even respond. Now, I would feel some type of way. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I don't go to the store much, right? My husband goes to the store for me majority of the time. I don't like people like that, be all up around people catching all type of COVID shit or whatever. So anyway, I went to Target today. I'ma need y'all to tell me, answer this for me. Why y'all didn't tell me that Target sells sex toys, honey? I was today year old when I found out that Target has dildos. I did not know that you can buy dildos from Target. I was taken aback when I saw the rose. They got the rose on the shelf. So I don't know what's going on, but baby, Target sells sex toys, okay? I don't know who they competing against, Adam and Eve or Adam and Steve, but they have sex toys in Target, okay? I was a little taken back while I was standing in the line for the pharmacy line to get my Zepbound so I could lose 10 more pounds, and I saw dildos. I saw them with my own eyes and I could not believe it. So if you need one, just go right on over to Target and pick out you a rose. Now, I don't know what's going on in this day and age where they got to have plastic D's in the damn store. Now, just like I was taken aback, can you imagine a child that has never experienced that just so walking by and see one of them toys and be like, Mama, what do you do with this? It's so pretty. When I tell you I was gone and blown with the wind, fabulous, I could not believe my eyes. Okay. So if you need one, I think Target might close at 10. You can clearly go over to Target and go on and get you one. They sell the rose, okay? The rose. Anyway, let me tell you something. I ain't been to the store in a long time. And then when I was talking on the phone to somebody, they said, oh, it's been out there for 2 years. I said 2 years? So I done heard Target been selling dildos for 2 years. I am gone. What are they going to do with the damn sex toy stores? Nah, I done been in a couple of them stores in my day, but if I knew Target sold it, I could have used my discount card. So anyway, all I'm saying is anybody want a dildo, you can go right on over to Target. Now, I see in the comments somebody says CVS sells them too and Walmart. Now, I don't know if they just got together and said, let's take over this shit, because it was a time when they were safe from those type of things. But baby, I don't know about Walmart. Somebody said Walmart, but Target definitely sell dildos. Now, they don't call it a dildo. They call it a massage vibrator, okay? Now, you do whatever you want to do with it, but honey, it's going to put you on cloud 9, all right? Cloud 9. Yeah, so I was taken aback, definitely taken aback that she said Walgreens too. So Walgreens, CVS, Target, and Walmart. They said the hell you say they getting in on. Listen. So anyway, they have them. She said Target selling that vibrator hula hoop. Listen, y'all. I don't know what they trying to say. Now somebody said on my live stream the other day that women are not having as many babies, right? I guess they said, shit, we need to sell more toys or something and get these women excited. Y'all keeping y'all cookies to yourselves and y'all going to get education and shit. You know what I'm saying? They want women sleeping around and giving up their cat more often. You hear me? Because why is it that they are selling these sex toys in stores and to have it right there? It was a whole line for you to get your medication and they right there. Just like, you know how the candy bars and, you know, the gum and shit be right there when you get ready to check out. Well, baby, they got dildos right there at the, right by the condoms in the line, the pharmacy line. So baby, all I got to say is I'm shocked. Wait a minute. Somebody said you could DoorDash one? Now, hold on. Now, y'all are taking this a bit far. Wait a minute. Are you kidding me? Girl, stop. DoorDash, you can get you a vibrator. Well, shut the front door, honey. Damn. Well, I guess you got choices. You can either deal with a Carlos, I guess, and Carlos, no shade. I'm just playing. You can deal with somebody that's just going to pass it around, or you can get your own personal piece of, you know what, to scratch your cat box, okay? And then you ain't got to pull up on your, you know, your baby daddy and his new love, okay? All right, keep down confusion and shit. I'm telling you, you better grab you one of them things. They don't argue back. They don't lie to you. You might have to change the battery or put it on the damn charger. But guess what? It ain't going to hurt your feelings. Hey, it ain't going to hurt your feelings. And you get to keep your money to yourself. Okay. Wait a minute. She said, and anal bees. Lord. Who sell the anal bees? DoorDash or Target? Lord, I am done. I don't know what Target is trying to do. I really don't. Wait a minute. Now, you about to get me in trouble. But if Target can advertise it on their site, then I guess it won't mind if I put it up. So somebody sent me a photo of what is on Target website. Lord Jesus. But now I saw this with my own eyes. So I can't even sit here and say I seen this on the website. No, ma'am. I saw this with my own eyes, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, I can vouch for Target having these things in their store. Now, I don't know if it's just the Target that I go to. Now, don't get in your Target and get mad when you can't find this thing say a little sucky, a little sucker. This thing say little sucker. Y'all see this? It's called Hello Cake Little Sucker Air Suction Toy. Now, I have no idea what it does, but it's only $35. Baby, that's a cheap thrill for your ass, okay? Now, I don't know what it do, but it sucks something, okay? And then this is the Rose Arouser. Now, this motherfucker is only $30, okay? Now, this is the Zippy Claw Rose Catnip Plush Toy. I told you the cat box. The cat box, all right? So all I'm saying is Target is hooking people up. She says they have them here in Alabama. Well, god damn, they got them in Alabama too? Well, I mean, damn, y'all. Listen, either you can listen, before I text a man and tell him to come lick on me and he keep me on red, I'm going to go to Target. I'm just saying. Ain't no way I'm going to keep asking somebody to come handle me, right? And they keep me on red and not even respond to me. I'm going to go to Target. Listen, you can talk to your damn self. You know what I'm saying? You literally can be getting off and saying whatever you want to say. Whose is it? Whose is it? Whatever you want to say, right? Say that damn shit to yourself and save your feelings. Okay? I'm just saying. So anyway, if you need to take a trip to Target, ladies, somebody tell me, let's get back on the topic, please. I'm going to get back on the topic. Calm down, TJ. TJ probably like, please, let's get back on the topic. But listen, before you are kept on red, because they said Carlos kept Romika on red, okay? So before you are kept, wait a minute, hold on. I thought this was Target. Lord, shut the front door. This is DoorDash. I'm done. She said, Amor, that is DoorDash. I'm done. I am breaking up my relationship with DoorDash. You mean to try? All right, y'all. Y'all ain't even got to go in Target. You could just DoorDash that thing. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but again, it was said that Romika was asking Carlos to come over and scratch her box. Okay. Now, I don't know if she knew this because I didn't find out until today. Ladies, there are other options. DoorDash, Target, Walgreens, Walmart, and CVS. All right. So spare your broken heart and don't pull up on your baby daddy and his new girlfriend. All right. Okay. So anyway, like I said, like I said, I think we were talking about, I don't even know what we were talking about, child. Let me get these dildos out my face, honey. Let me put this. This don't make no sense. I swear. So anyway, but no, I think that we were on the two cases where they were charged with murder, okay? And the prosecutor wanted to come back and lessen the charges, and the defense argued against it, and the judge says no. And because no lesser charge was introduced, both of these cases, they were acquitted 100%. Now, this guy came back and tried to sue, and he didn't win. Okay, he didn't win, but he was acquitted. Okay, so he was charged with murder and he was acquitted. And I got another case because some people might say, well, Amor, that was Ohio. This is Illinois. So I do have one for Illinois. Let me pull that up. Now, it was a long time ago, okay? Because I tried to ask for a recent one. This shit gave me a 19. Hold on, let me see. It gave me an old one. Now, I don't know why it gave me an old one. It may be some that's it may be some that's earlier than this. But I have, hold on, I'm trying to pull up the case. It's a female. Oh, come on. I know I have it because I pulled it up. Give me a second. Did I delete it? I don't think I would have. Huh. I know I have it. And I also wanted to show something else too. I know I pulled this up because I know I had a young lady. I'm still looking for the other one, the one out of Illinois that is similar to Holly's case. And I do believe that Ari is going to use this as a case study for her case. If I don't show it to you tonight, I'll show it to you tomorrow because I don't know where I put it. I don't know if I deleted it because where is it? Good Lord. Okay. I don't see it, but let me hit refresh. Why is it not in here? Because I was looking up the all or nothing case. Maybe I just have too much in here. Anyway, if I can't show it to you tonight, I'll show it to you tomorrow. But it is about a woman that claimed that she was great, and the guy left and came back, allegedly, and was trying to get in, or so she thought he was trying to get in, and she shot him through the door. He hadn't even opened the door, right? And she shot him through the door, and she got self-defense for that. And but the reason why she got self-defense because the state was not able to prove that she was not in fear. Okay. She claimed that he had already raped her once, and he came back to rape her again in the same night. Okay. And she shot him through the door, and she got off on self-defense because the state was not able to prove that she was not in fear of her life. Okay. Now I know you guys are saying, I know you guys are saying that this may happen in certain cases or in certain states, and it may not happen in others. And you're right. You're right. You're right to think that. You're right to say that because it does. Certain things change. But even let me say this because I don't know. I don't think people know. Even if you are found guilty, right, by a jury, you can ask for an appeal, and it can go to a higher court, and you can win at that level. But I don't even think the Holly and Ramika case will ever do that. I don't think that she's going to. Holly will be found, convicted of this at all. I just absolutely do not think that she will be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Is that it right there? People versus Jeremiah. Okay, hold on. Let me see if that's it. Because baby, I must have deleted and if I know I did delete something. I was hoping I didn't delete that because I also had on there about the lady that did the warning shot and shot up in the air and got 20 years for the person that came over here earlier talking about she should have fired a warning shot. Some of these people say things that's gonna end you up with a fluffy pillow in jail. All right, so the people versus Jeremiah. Now, this wasn't the one that I was talking about. Hold on. The people versus Jeremiah Thompson of 2022 out of Illinois. I don't think that this is what I'm looking at. Hold on. I see people versus Jeremiah out of Kentucky, Louisville. Oh, here you go. Oh, I remember this one. I think I do. I think. Hold on. Is it Jakaria Patterson? Hold on. I think this is it. Let's see. Let's put this up right quick. All right. Hold on. I think it's paying his bills. We got 16 seconds to go. All right. We'll put this down until them 16 seconds is over. If this resonates, please support the conversation. Oh, thank you, Levette. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's hear it.
In late March of 2014, Jeremiah Thompson was accused of killing his 2-year-old daughter. According to police, prosecutors, and a video confession, murder because of a dirty diaper. This week, 8 years later, a Cook County jury found Thompson not guilty. And tonight, the little girl's family says there's no justice in that decision. The verdict has them distraught and in disbelief and has police disgusted.
I was devastated. I was angry. I was hurt, and I'm still lost. Like, I don't understand it. Like, it's confusing to me. I don't understand what were they thinking.
Carla Patterson tonight has no explanation and struggles for words after a Cook County jury found her daughter's father not guilty. Court records have it in black and white from Monday's decision. The jury had seen what police call a videotape confession from then 21-year-old Jeremiah Thompson, on parole for robbery at the time, and whom police say admitted on video to beating his 2-year-old daughter to death, part of a pattern of abuse suffered by Jakaria Patterson, abuse that had previously been documented by DCFS.
I don't have no clue what they thought, what they woke up, what was their argument, or what was in their mind frame to think that he was not guilty. He completely confessed to it.
Lansing police tonight say they saw it as a slam dunk case.
My 24 years in law enforcement, I've never seen anything this bad. Very, very devastating for that family. And our detectives around here are heartbroken for the family.
Here at Cook County Jail, Thompson had been held without bond, awaiting trial for 8 years. Tonight, the once accused child killer is free.
So is it okay to beat your kid and for them to die and you just run free?
This is the little girl's grandmother.
I'd just like to say that the people that served on that jury, I hope you sleep good at night. I really do, because you made a big mistake.
The I-Team asked Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox's office for comment on this stunning outcome, and they have sent us a statement saying they prosecuted this case to the fullest extent and will continue to do so on behalf of all victims in Cook County. Thompson's attorney from the Cook County Public Defender's Office declined to discuss the acquittals this evening. Little girl's family says they will continue fighting for justice in her name. But in criminal court, when a jury votes to acquit, prosecutors don't get a second chance.
Okay. So I'm going to look and see.
Older for Saturday evening.
Hold on.
Falling.
I'm going to look and see why he was acquitted. But I just saw, I think it's Sasha Smith. She said it's hard to get a first degree murder charge. And it is. Not even, it's hard to get a murder charge, period. But it is hard to get a first degree murder charge. For one, no human can literally say how another person feel, right? Now, and I'm talking in the Holly and Romika case in this regard, right? You can't tell a person what they're going through at that time, what they're feeling at that time. And a first degree murder charge is based on intent and state of mind. Intent and state of mind. So your intent and your state of mind need to be laid out. Like they can't think and guess, that you were thinking this way or you were feeling this way or you wanted this to happen. They have to know. It has to be evidence. It's hard to convict on a first degree. Most first degrees are cut and dry. They saw you. You confess. You have no remorse. You like, yeah, I killed that, I sure did. Or whatever, right? But first degree is really hard to prove. Now, what I don't understand is they said he confessed, but it looks like they saying he was 21 at the time he confessed. He was already facing a robbery charge. Who knows that, I have to find out the remaining information, but it could have been them saying, hey, if you confess to this, then we'll drop this or we'll drop that, right? We don't know that. I'll have to look and find out exactly what it was, but apparently the confession did not stand, right? Matter of fact, let me find out why. Well, I'll do it on another live. I'll do it on another live to find out why he got off. He got off when he actually admitted it, but he was 21 years old. And not only that, the fact that he said, and now I'm guessing again, this is just my opinion. He was charged with first degree murder. That's what it says. He was charged with first degree murder. It says that he was on parole for robbery at the time of the KIN, and he was held without bond in the Cook County Jail for nearly 8 years, awaiting the first degree murder trial. It says, I was devastated. I was angry. It was hard, and I'm still lost. Oh, that's the mother. But anyway, but the confession could have came from something else. So I would have to find out like what happened or whatever. But it said the jury returned not guilty. Now, he could have confessed to, yeah, I whooped her, and the whooping caused her death. And then they may have found out that that whooping wasn't what caused her death. Or they may not been able to say that the whooping did cause her death. They may not have been able to prove that the whooping caused her death. I don't know, but I will have to look into it. Okay. She said he won that with a public defender. Wow. Because first degree murder is not, I think this is what happened. I heard this is what happened. I'm a speculate this is what happened. First degree, to charge someone with first degree, you have to be certain, which means 100% factual. So no jury is going to come back and be like, yeah, your threats, Holly, didn't mean shit. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that because each person is different. How you handle threats may be different from how someone else handled a threat. It is almost impossible. If you're being factual and fair, it's almost impossible for someone to say, or for 12 people to say, I don't think that Holly felt threatened. You know, it may be 6 people say she felt threatened, or even 10 people say she felt threatened. But somebody is going to be like, yeah, I do believe she felt threatened. Like I said, it might be 11 people to say, nah, her ass didn't feel threatened. And then somebody is going to say, well, she could have felt threatened. She could have. How do I know she did not? She could have, you know? So with that being said, it is hard to get a first-degree murder charge. She said issues with evidence presentation was cited as the reason the case was lost. Oh, wow. So issues with the evidence presentation was cited. She said, my friend, baby daddy, brother didn't get off for unaliving his son. Well, because they probably had solid evidence that he did it. They probably had solid evidence. So first degree is a high bar. It is absolutely a high bar, period. It's a high bar. You know? I'm reading a couple of more. She said, without a reasonable doubt that he tried to KI his daughter. Yeah, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Exactly. Exactly. It has to be, you know, we sat here in awe, and I want to say this happened in 2011. I can't remember the exact year, but we sat in awe trying to figure out why George Zimmerman got off, right? Now, that is a stand your ground state, right? But we're trying to figure out, excuse me, why did he get off? Well, one of the reasons he got off is because, well, there were no video footage, and Trayvon Martin wasn't here to say what really happened. And he also had what they said was a mark or something on his face that, you know, indicated that they were in a tussle, you know? But there is no way a jury could have judged whether or not Zimmerman felt that his life was in imminent danger or not. Even though, you know, I don't agree with that verdict, because I don't agree with George Zimmerman because he pursued Trayvon Martin. But when you're talking about law, the law says if you feel that you are in imminent danger or that that person will cause you great bodily harm, that you have a right to legally and lawfully defend yourself. So because of that, and there is no video footage. Now, we heard voice recordings of the 911 operator saying, do not pursue, but he kept running, right? But there is no video footage of the incident. And when you have no video footage and no reliable witnesses that's going to collaborate the exact same story, then the jury is not left with much option, because they have to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they cannot find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, then you walk. It's not about if you did it or not. It's what they can prove. Now, I'm going to say something that sounds very bitter, right? It sounds kind of harsh. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is what happened, but I'm saying if Holly truly intended to unalive Ramika, but she was very careful with it to where she didn't leave no paper trail of intent, right? She didn't leave no paper trail of planning, plotting, or any of that. if she truly intended to KI Romika, again, I'm saying if. I don't believe this, but I'm just, giving it a little weight. I'm playing devil's advocate right now. If her and Carlos said, let's set up a perimeter, let's get her over here, right? Because we already know how she is. And then we're going to take care of her. We're going to handle her. You already got the legal paperwork, right? If that happened and the state can't prove it, she still walks. Because it's not about if you did it or not. It's what the state can prove. So it doesn't matter. All this, why didn't she do this? Well, why did she go back and do that? Well, why didn't she go back and do the burden of proof is on the state. It's on the state. So if the state cannot prove intent, if they can't prove plotting and planning, if they can't prove escalation, if they can't prove pause in between shots and deliberation and all of that. If they cannot prove it, Holly will not be found guilty of first-degree murder. Okay? She said Holly ass is not getting out. Well, obviously you don't know the law, Mrs. Scott. Okay? So nevertheless, Holly will not be found guilty of first-degree murder. I'm just letting you know. Okay? I'm just letting you know. So anyway, I'm not going to stay on here much longer. Anybody got any questions? Oh, somebody told me to drop the link earlier, and I'm sorry. I can get the run in my mouth. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link. Janie, I think that's how you say your name. Those pink hearts are definitely welcome. They're definitely welcome. It makes my chat look very pretty. If anybody else want to throw some pink hearts, you can go right ahead. It makes my chat look pretty. But throwing pink hearts all over social media is not going to find Holly. Holly doesn't mean that she's going to be convicted, okay? So all the pink hearts, all the pink fingernail polish, all the pretty pink all across social media, one, is not going to bring Romika back, and two, is not going to convict Holly of first-degree murder. But go off. It's really, really pretty. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I do not oppose it. Okay. So I just dropped the link for anyone that want to come up and ask me a question, or even talk about the all or nothing charge or conviction, should I say, that the defense is, basically don't have to accept any of that other stuff. Okay. All right. She said, you know yourself that Holly ass is back. Holly ass is what? Oh, baked. No, I don't. I can't agree with you on that one. I absolutely cannot agree with you on that one. Before I found out the information that I found out today, I thought, well, damn, I know they can't get her on first degree, but they might be able to get her on second or manslaughter. But after today, baby, I know that she's coming home is what I know. Okay. All right. I know that she's coming home. They're not going to be able to get home first degree. I mean, hell, we sat and listened to a testimony of a lady that admitted to driving 3 hours after purchasing a weapon and driving 3 hours to a man's house, confronted him, shot him in his own home. She was charged with first degree and was found guilty of second degree. Hell, how much more of that? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, first degree is just hard because it's not just based on whether you did it or not. It's based on your mindset at the time, your intentions at the time. What were your intentions at the time? What was your mental state at the time? Is this something that you intended to do? And another thing that's going to hurt the state is the video footage showing that Romika pulled up on them. Because I saw somebody say the other day, I don't care if she pulled up or not. Well, that shows who initiated the I'm not going to say the confrontation because it doesn't show that she initiated the confrontation, but it shows that she came up on them and they didn't come up on her. Okay. She said, someone did a story on Zimmerman. He is broke and homeless and on drugs. Karma is doing him in. Ooh, really? I got to go look at that. It appears as if the state overcharged her deliberately. That's what I think too. You know, how you say your name, Shalanda or Shanda? I think so too. And to be honest, instead of being upset with Holly's supporters, I think they need to be upset with the damn state. Okay. I think that they need to fixate their anger on the state because the state is the one that charged her with first degree, not any of the supporters. But somehow, somehow they're going to make it about the supporters. But this is absolutely not about the supporters. Okay? It's not about the supporters. But they're going to try to make it about the supporters, which I think is, you know, is useless, but nevertheless. Okay? But I will say this, it's going to be very, very hard. And if anybody come out and say, no, of course they're going to get her on. Let me tell you something. Let's think about this for a minute. Do you think an attorney will know better than a blogger? I think an attorney will know, a defense attorney at that would know if they can beat a case or not. Now, I'm not saying they always 100%, but I do think that defense attorneys kind of know if they can beat the case or not, okay? And I think a defense attorney knows better if they can win a case or not over a blogger. So just imagine a blogger like myself saying, oh no, she's going to be convicted of first degree. And I know that because I am a blogger, right? When the attorney has went to school and received a degree and education in this profession, right? I would think that they would know more than a blogger. Okay, we're just bloggers. And some of us bloggers, some of us don't even do any research. So I would believe an attorney would know more than we do when it comes to her profession. All right. So, and then for the people to say the state will not charge first degree if they know that they cannot win. Well, I'm going to need you to go and do some more research. Because the state has charged first degree plenty of times and did not win. Okay? Did not win. It was either downgraded, plead out, or acquitted. Only, how much percentage did I say? I think 10 to 30. 10 to 30% only are convicted of the original first degree charge. 10 to 30% is not high at all. Okay. Oh yeah. Hold on, y'all. Give me a sec. All right. I didn't want to play that because I don't want to play somebody else's footage on my, somebody else that I don't jail with. I don't want to play their footage on my page. That's why I hit mute. But I played it and I saw it, but I don't think I'm going to show that. It's nothing. She said, again, this is the only case that they believe the state is doing the right thing. She said, if Ramika supporters really thought the state had a case, there would be no reason to try and get Ari disbarred with lies that could end them up in trouble. What do you mean they trying to get Ari disbarred? That's funny. What do you mean by that? I'm trying to get her disbarred. How? And you're right, though, for what you said. If they thought that this was a slam dunk case, of course, they would not be attacking the way they are attacking, if they are attacking Ari. But what do you mean they're trying to get her disbarred? That's too funny to me. Disbarred. All because she is doing the job that she was hired to do? This is crazy. I mean, on what technicality will they get Ari disbarred? This is laughable. You hear me? Laughable. She said, that's why I respect your opinion. If you don't know something, you look it up and read, you research, you use intellect. Exactly. And you are absolutely correct. If I don't know it, I'm going to look it up. You got dang on right, I will. But yeah, to me, and this is not all Ramika supporters, because, some of them I think do have a level head, but a lot of them are leading off emotions. They're just so angry and they say things like, I can't believe that you are protecting a murderer or supporting a murderer. Self-defense does not equate to a murderer. Okay. Self-defense is not murder. Self-defense is not murder. And until she's found guilty of murder, those that saying, I can't believe you supporting a murderer, you are too much in your feelings. Deep, deep in your feelings. Look in the mirror and say, let me get out of my feelings. Total T says, see, Ramika supporters think emotion, opinions, and witness number 3 finna get Holly in prison, but the lie detectors say. Exactly. Thank you, Total T. And that's another thing. Social media does not win cases. They do not win cases. Hey, Cheryl, what's going on, lady?
Hey, Amor, how you doing? Hey, Chad, how y'all doing? Amor, I don't know if you can remember, because it was closer down here by where I'm from, not like a few miles up in Tennessee, where the white lady named Mary Winkler, I think that was her name, that shot her husband and killed him. He was a minister, and she shot him in the back. And she ended up getting off because he had been, just had been abusing her, which it wasn't even noted at police stations or whatever. But she ended up getting off and everything due to self-defense because he had been abusing her and graping her and stuff like that. And they charged her originally with first-degree murder. She shot him in the back as he was walking off from her.
And she got off?
Yes, she got completely off. They end up lowering it down to manslaughter. But she only did 210 days, and she didn't do all those in jail. She did maybe 100 and some days in jail, and she did 60 days or something like that in a mental hospital. She didn't even get a year total for everything. And this was and I think that was it's been a few years ago, 2007 or 8, but it was a broadcast case and everything, and
what's the name of it again?
You can look it up. Her name was Mary Winkler. She Mary Winkler, and they was from some part of Tennessee.
You said Tennessee?
Uh-huh.
What part?
Selmer, Tennessee.
I just say Tennessee. Okay, I'll look at it because I've never heard of that.
Oh yes, it was a big well, because I had just been calmly reading the chat, and after you showed a couple of places like Ohio that people have gotten off, and it just it came to me, and I was like, I wanted to type it in the chat, but it's just too much to type, and I was like, well, yeah, because they originally charged her with first-degree murder and everything too, but it was like everybody just thought it was a open and shut case. Like, you know, she shot her husband in the back. He wasn't exactly doing anything to her at that moment. He hadn't touched her at that moment, but he came. She had cooked dinner and everything, and they had a few arguments, and he walked off, and she shot him in the back and killed him.
Oh, wow. Now, I would be interested to look at that because I thought once the threat is over, you know, it's hard. So, I mean, it's hard to convict, but I would have to look at that and see, you know, and I look at the state law as well. Somebody said she was convicted of voluntary manslaughter. So if she was convicted of voluntary manslaughter, what probably happened is she probably took a plea. Even though she shot him in the back, the state don't want to go all the way out, you know, because they got to hire. You got to understand. Matter of fact, let me list it right quick. I'm going to list something right quick. Give you guys an idea of what all goes in as far as money. Okay. Okay. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Continue to talk to the audience. I'm gonna do something right quick.
Yeah, she was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, but she served under a year. She didn't do a whole year in locked up in prison at all. Yeah, Tracy, her trial was televised, well televised. It was a big thing. Like I say, I live here in Memphis, but it was up in some part of Tennessee. And matter of fact, a well-known one of the Ballins that's well-known attorneys that's here in Memphis was the one who represented her. And I feel like that's practically getting her off. If you have killed someone and you only do less than a year, that's practically getting you off, especially someone you shot in the back.
Okay, so I just literally ran an analysis right quick, right? So to prove first degree, I'm gonna list some things that the state would need, the experts that they would have to go hire and pay money for. Okay, so this is why a lot of states, a lot of state attorneys, prosecutors will offer a plea deal because they don't want to have to do all of this, right? Okay, so listen to this. In order to convict on first degree murder, convict beyond a reasonable doubt, they need evidence. They need proof. They need a solid case. Okay. So here are some of the experts the state would need to use in order to have a solid case. Okay. First, a firearm ballistic expert, right? All right, that's the person that tells you the distance of the shot, how many shots was fired, the trajectory, whether the shots were consistent with advancing versus defensive firing. And what they'll argue is multiple shots equal intent, trajectory suggests deliberate aiming, distance too far for immediate threat. That would cost about $15,000 by itself, okay? All right. However, they can do all that money or whatever and have them come testify. But it says the weakness here in Holly case is ballistic still cannot tell the intent. Multiple shots don't equal murder if the threats persist, and ballistics cannot disapprove the fear. So even if they spent $15,000 on this, it still is not a win. Let's go to the next one. Crime scene reconstructionist. Okay, let me see if I can say that word again. Reconstructionist. Okay, they would need a crime scene reconstructionist. It reconstructs the moments, argue who advanced and who retreated. It creates visuals for the jury. What they'll try to argue is the defendant had time to disengage. Shooting occurred after the separation. That costs about $30,000. However, even spending that amount, the weakness would be in Holly case is based on assumptions, not a video, and is easily attacked if no continuous footage. Witness contradicts the position that they was in. If the witness say they was here, but the experts say they was here, all those contradictions will come into play, and timeline is unclear. Why? Because there's no video footage, okay? Now, let's go to the next one. A medical examiner, forensics pathologist, okay? Now, of course, I think they already ordered this one. This is for the purpose of cause of death, entry rooms, order of shots. Sometimes they tell you to order shots, sometimes it won't. Distance. The distance is the stippling or the residue. What they'll argue is wound placement shows intent. Shots inconsistent with panic. That costs about $10,000, but that's a state employee, so you know. Well, it says it's usually done by a state employee, but if they hire an outside expert, it'll cost about $10,000. So the medical examiner, we're gonna take that off because that ain't gonna that's not gonna cost the state anything, but because they are state employees. But if they need an outside expert, which I do believe the defense will probably go get their own, you know what I'm saying, just to make sure they're doing shit right or whatever, and it'll cost the defense $10,000. However, the pathologists do not determine intent. They cannot testify to the mindset, and wound location alone does not equal murder, okay? Now, the next one is use of force experts. Now, that's a police or tactical crew, a part of the police department. That normally costs about $20,000. They would use that for the purpose to say force was unreasonable, compare defendant actions to trained responses. What they'll try to argue is Holly escalated instead of retreating, and the firearm use was excessive. Again, about $20,000. But here comes a major weakness. Civilians are not trained like officers. So just because they try to compare Holly's action to a trained response, again, Holly is not a trained police officer. And Illinois does not require perfect judgment from a defendant. All right. Fear plus threat plus child present equal powerful counter. Okay. The defense will eat that up. The use of force expert. Okay. And that's after spending $20,000. The next one will be behavior and intent expert. Okay. For the purpose, they will argue the action shows purposeful conduct. It'll cost the state about $25,000. But the reality of it, very risky for prosecution, often excluded, open the doors for the defense mental state expert. Okay. Most prosecutors avoid this unless they are just totally desperate. All right. The next one would be digital cell phone expert. For the purpose, they'll use this for the purpose of text messages, calls, GPS, prior threats or planning, social media posts. It'll cost the state about $10,000. However, the weakness come in that if Holly did not initiate contact, if no planning text messages exist, if threats came from the descendant. So they'll spend $10,000 to pull text messages and all of that post. But if they do not find that Holly initiated any contact with Ramika, or Holly did not plan, there's no text message to show that she planned this attack. And if the threats came from Ramika versus Holly, then this would be bad for the state. But they'll spend about $10,000 on that. So with just the ones that I named, which they probably are more, but for just the ones that I named, for minimum expert use, it will cost the state about $30,000, which is very, very minimum. But it says moderate use. In most cases, it'll cost the state about $60,000. Now, heavy expert push, it will cost the state $100K plus. And what it does not include is the prosecutor's salary, the jury cost, the court operation, and the police overtime. And I only named I only named 6 experts. In this case, there will probably be more experts that will have to be called in order for them to prove first degree. in order for them to prove first degree. So that is why a lot of prosecutors will do what? They will offer a plea because they don't want to have to spend all this money just to lose. They don't want to have to do all of this just to lose. All right? So it will be interesting to see how much money the state spends on experts just to not get a first-degree murder charge. She said the defense proved he was abused. Oh, you talking about something else. All right. So with that being said, they don't like doing that. They don't like spending all this damn money. They don't want to spend all that. She said the phone rung and knocked me off, so I just came back in the chat. It's okay. But they don't want to spend all this money just for Holly to walk. So 9 times out of 10, they looking at it like, damn, that's going to cost us a lot of money. That's going to cost us, you know, almost $100K or more to get this expert, that expert, that expert. They would need a lot, you know? So they don't want to do that. She said her husband was lying in bed when she shot him down. Well, I'm sure that's why she took that damn plea. If you shoot somebody laying in the bed, you better plea. You better plea, you know? So anyway, y'all, how do y'all feel though? How do y'all feel? She said the pathologist costs. Yeah, I mean, hey, you know, but how do y'all feel about the case and moving forward? She said she spent a total of about 210 days with 60 of them being in a mental hospital. So she only did 210 days in jail? Damn. She said, more of the same thing just happened with the Alabama pastor, DeQuarius Green. He was shot in front of his kids. I believe he was shot in the back of the head. His wife was not charged. I heard he was shot in the eye. And I heard that the reason why his wife wasn't charged is because she's claiming self-defense, although they're still investigating it. She claims self-defense as well. She said, I'm feeling confident with the defense. Was anybody kind of on the fence a little bit, feeling a little unease, and you're feeling a little bit better now? Anybody? Now, I'm not guaranteeing a verdict, y'all. I don't want y'all to come throw spitballs at me. However, I'm telling y'all that I am my strong opinion. I'm just giving my strong opinion. But of course, I cannot promise nobody a verdict. I can't promise nobody a verdict. But my strong opinion is the state will not be able to prove first degree. Now, I never thought that they would get first degree. I was literally shocked to see it. But I just didn't know that the defense can say, hell no, I don't want no, I don't want a lesser charge. Hell no, you filed first degree, prove that shit, you know? She said, I never thought Casey Anthony would beat her case. I know. That's crazy, huh? Or that lady that's in Italy, right? That lady that is it Amber somebody or Amanda somebody? She unalived somebody, her roommate in Italy, and she totally got off on it. They couldn't convict her either. She said, I feel you gave a lot of good findings. Thank you, Kim. She said, it's more promising. I knew it was self-defense a while ago, though. Okay. She said, I feel better. Thank you, Benita. She said, I remember listening to Cardi B trial, and the pathologist said he's paid at least $40,000 for research and showing up in court. Damn. Let me see how much did it say here for pathologist. Did I say pathologist? Well, it says forensic pathologist, but this only say, well, it says it's a state employee. So I don't know. I don't know how that worked. I mean, if the state bringing the case, they may find their own pathologist. Yep. So anyway, we're about to close out. She said, I'm feeling confident with the defense. Yeah. We're about to close out. There's a lot going on out here. I was supposed to be covering this case. I have not done the research. I still got to do it about the girl that went out of town with her boyfriend. And she claimed they got in an argument and she put him out on the side of the road or something like that, and left him under the bridge, and he ended up unalived. But anyway, I gotta look into that more. So I'll spend the next couple of hours doing that. But I've been so heavily engaged in doing research on this. Yeah, Amanda Knox. Thank you so much, Panna. Amanda Knox, baby. She sure did get off. You hear me? So anyway, child. Listen, I will say this. Somebody said it earlier. I believe that there's a lot of guilty people that's walking on this earth, walking around, free. And I believe a lot of innocent people are locked up. But again, it's not about what you did. It's about what they can prove. Okay. And y'all going to see me post that quite a bit on my page because it's just true. It's just true. Okay. She said Casey Anthony was white, long as white is all right. Now, y'all, I'm going to have to pull up some black people that got off, too, because it's not just white people that beat first-degree murder. It be black people, too. They be beating it, too. Matter of fact, somebody just sent me one today. Hold on. And I'm going to go over this one, and then I'm going to end this live. Somebody just sent me one today. All right. Now, this one right here happened. Well, I don't even know if they actually had this trial yet. So he didn't beat it. Oh, okay. So this guy didn't beat it, but let me see if I can bring up this right here for you. So this case right here, this guy name is Jamie Miller. Let's pull it up. Jamie Miller. Hold on. Out of Chicago. This guy right here. Let's listen to what he did, and then we're going to talk about what's going on with him. He unalived someone. Hold on, let's put it up here. Come on. Okay. How do you start this recording? Hold on.
Hurricanes can be scary.
Give me a second.
Unprotected and vulnerable. Don't be left in the dark.
It looks like he unalived someone by punching them in the face, and they charged him with first degree. And it looked like they denied his detention initially. This is in Chicago as well. And now they let him out on monitoring. Okay.
Generators, your light
Hold on.
In the death of a man outside of the house of...
Hold on.
Developing overnight, a man is now charged in the death of a man outside of the House of Blues that happened back in November. Jamie Miller was arrested this week and is facing murder charges after police say he punched a man while robbing him. The victim, 47-year-old Andrew Hulbert, fell to the ground after he was hit and suffered a head injury. He died at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. The suspect will be in court today.
Okay, so this particular guy punched somebody while trying to rob him, right? So he's trying to rob someone and he punched him, and one punch ended the guy's life, allegedly, right? So what happens? Let's look. Hold on, let me go back. It says, damn, he looked older than that, but 29-year-old man charged with murder in a deadly attack in 2023 outside the House of Blues in River North. Arrested in January 2024 for punching a man who later died. Though there are other professionals with similar, okay, anyway, it says other professionals with similar names in the Chicago area. Like, okay, I don't think that means anything. Anyway, so the incident took place November 2023. Jamie Miller and another individual asked 47-year-old Andrew for some money. Miller then punched him in the head. He was charged with murder in January of 2024, excuse me. And hold on, let me get the rest of the information. All right. And they charged him with first degree. So they initially did not let him out. Okay. They thought that he was a threat to society and everybody in the world, but they eventually let him out on leg monitoring. Okay. So he was able to be released on leg monitoring. Matter of fact, he's out right now on leg monitoring because they have not had his case as of yet. Okay. He had a felony indictment, and he was let out. So basically, I guess I was sent this to be shown that just because a person was charged first degree, and just because the judge initially said that he was a threat to the safety of others and the community and whatnot, the second time after the motion, they allowed him to go home on a leg monitoring. Okay. So everybody that's charged with first degree is not just in jail waiting for a trial. Okay. Some of these people are let go, and he is one of them. And if you want to look up his case, his name is, again, Jamie Miller. Jamie Miller in Chicago, Illinois. All right. She said, I was confident she would get off because her case was similar to my little cousin. They charged him with first degree unaliving and common law unaliving. He got off. Wow. She said, Maurice Bird was acquitted of murder in March 2025 for shooting a white man. Wow. So, it's just, yeah, I'm sitting up here listening to you guys, and, that just means that y'all do your research, or the people that come running over here, or they say things like they ain't gonna get off. Like, why would a judge let them off? And ain't no way they gonna get off because this, that, or the third. Listen, you're gonna have to just not put a whole lot of weight to that. A lot of people are just speaking from straight from their emotions. Okay. Straight from what they want to happen. Just because you want something to happen doesn't mean that it's going to happen. All right. She said the reason the art supporters feel the way that they do is because this is life in Chicago. Never again am I going to Chicago. Oh, I don't think that it's just Chicago. I think that it's some people that's not even in Chicago that is basically saying that Holly is going to rot in prison. And it's all those that are saying that haven't picked up and read shit. They ain't read the law about nothing. What they've done is ran over to somebody else's channel that have a lot of views, and they listened to them, and then they came back, and then they talked about it on their platform. That's it. That's all. They ain't read no law. They haven't done the research. They ain't doing the research. They literally just listening to somebody with a lot of views, because sometimes they believe if you have a lot of views, then you the smartest, I guess. All right. So anyway, I'm about to close out this live. I do appreciate y'all. She said a lot of people aren't like that in Chicago. And I believe you. I believe you. Okay. I believe you. So anyway, it's because they don't know how to law correctly, and they don't care. They want to know. Exactly. They don't know how the law is. A lot. And then the thing about it is, they're going to be mad at the law, but they're not doing anything to change the law. They probably don't vote. You know what I'm saying? But the laws are there for a reason. And all the laws that's out there don't necessarily work in our favor. They don't. But first degree, in my opinion, somebody that wants justice for first degree, baby, you better have a solid rock case. Solid rock. Because if it's not a solid rock case, baby, listen, you wasting a whole lot of your time. You're wasting a whole lot of your time, She said the warning shot theory was hilarious. I had actually looked that up, but I think I deleted it. But yeah, that lady fired a warning shot and went to well, she got 20 years, but she didn't have to do the 20. They eventually let her out. I think she ended up pleading for 3 or time served or something like that. But still, 3 years and you did a warning shot, that's still too damn long for me. But anyway, y'all better stop listening to these folks. Thank you, Michelle, for 24 lovely months. She said 2 whole years or more, but actually before you come to YouTube since the beginning. Love it here. Aw, 2 whole years, 24 months. Thank you, Michelle. Then Michelle showed a girl some love. She said, thank you more for breaking it down and understanding. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you, Lady Love. She said, I'm listening and learning facts over feelings. That's right. Facts over feelings. Okay. Thank you, Lady V. Thank you for 22 months, Lisa. She said, I love it here. Thank you so much. And then 4 children and 2 grands says, listen. I think that means listen. You keep making them mad. They'll never like you and you will forever be the GOAT. Keep confusing those hermaphrodites. I love you, sis. I'm proud to be a loud talker. We're in here tonight. Hey, they're going to stay mad or something. You hear me? Hey, and I'm not even talking to them. I'm talking to my supporters, but you know, they got their old dirty ears up in here. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's their fault, not mine. Thank you, 100K. She said, with all due respect, is it really justice for Ramika or the content creators and their family? Ooh. Girl, what you done said, because it ain't really about Ramika. That's what you saying, girl. Yes, I know it's really not about Ramika. Talking about some justice for Ramika. Because, you know, if you think about it, justice for Ramika, does that bring Ramika back? Huh? So, yeah, you right. Is it justice for Ramika or justice for the content creator and her family? Things that make you say, Thank you, girl. Thank you, S Gum. Appreciate you. Thank you, Candy Girl. She said, check your phone. And then thank you, Totally T. Okay. She said, see, Ramika supporters think emotional opinion and witness number 3 finna get Holly in prison. But the lie detective say, oh, yeah, I read that one. The lie detective say, hell to the no. Hey, David. What's going on, bro? But anyway, y'all hit that thumbs up button on the way out. And yeah, y'all, I'm going to rock with y'all tomorrow, okay? Talk to y'all later. Hit that thumbs up and share this live. Have a good evening. Bye, y'all.
Because they can't make $1 without mentioning down one of our names.
Jay! She kept talking about that family.
Hoes over there.
She kept talking about that family. 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 That family. She kept talking about that family. Talking about that family. These motherfuckers don't be wanting to listen.
Because they can't make $1 without mentioning down one of our names.